And we are live, of course, doing a watch along unlike any other in the midst of a kind of claustrophobic hotel in Chennai right now. My name's Avnish, and of course, as you can see, Akshay right now, and Somesh and Nikhil, and we're going to be bringing you all the live updates, of course, what's happening in China. Yes, China. I know the World Cup's going on, but there's bigger things to tend to right now because India are going for gold, guys. Akshay, first and foremost, how are you, man?
Yeah, doing all right. Just flew in from Ahmedabad, so a bit of tiredness and all of that. But then it's an India game. India is potentially first gold medal, so really excited for the game. So yeah, looking forward to it for sure.
Now, I want to give everyone a disclaimer watching this because there's going to be some sort of chatter from behind. We have so many people around us. It's an absolute joke right now. But Nikhil Popa and Somesh Agarwal, good to see you as well. Nikhil, I'll start with you. And essentially, what do you think? It's an inevitable goal, you feel, right?
Yeah, I'll just not count the eggs before they hatch because stranger things have happened. Just in the earlier game, you saw how uh, the side just chased out 20 runs in an over, and of all people, Rakibul was the guy who hit the boundary at the end. So stranger things have happened, but again, expectedly it should be India, but let's hope for a good game.
Okay, so you're the man who's, of course, keeping a keen eye on the Asian Games, not just the cricket, but we've now hit 100 medals? Is that right?
Yeah, 100 medals this morning.
Well done.
And potentially looking at 105 by the end of the day today.
Fantastic. So now what do you make of it? India winning the toss, electing to bowl. They, of course, have steamrolled every opponent. Maybe we wouldn't say the same thing about the Nepal game because that was a nip and tuck. But do you think we can beat the second string of Afghanistan side, right? So
we can. I think India does start favorite, but has like Nikhil said कि भाई होने को तो on the day कुछ भी हो सकता है. मैं बस अक्षय से बोल रहा हूँ. अक्षय ने बोला कि potentially first gold medal ये कौन सा count रख रहा है वो? Because neither is this going to be the first gold medal for India in the games, nor it will be the first gold medal for cricket.
Men's cricket.
बोलने का.
Just to be clear, guys. Just to be clear, men's cricket के लिए first gold medal.
सुबह मैनेजर ग्रामर करेक्ट कर रहा है.
क्या करें अभी?
No, indeed. So I'll tell you what, we'll tell you the teams as well. And remember, if you guys just need some memory to be checked by y'all, we'll be giving it to you guys. And there's always the cricket.com app. Now, speaking of memories, we did thumb. Who was it to progress to the gold round?
Yeah, we comprehensively defeated Bangladesh in the semi-finals, in the first semi-finals. So 96 for 9 is what Bangladesh ended up with, and India, of course, with their spinners, with 16 overs of spin. In fact, Sundar, Sai Kishore, Shabaz, everyone did a fantastic job. So yeah, right now, no changes, of course, for the Indian side. The only potential bone of contention was the fact that Avish Khan could probably come in for any spinner, given how the surface played in the morning. 65 was chased down in just 5 overs by Bangladesh to help them seal a bronze medal. So yeah, that's pretty much it from an Indian POV.
I mean, I'm just looking forward to Arshdeep Singh bowling. I know, again, a plain miss. But so, did you see that previous game? Because the spinners were just absolutely brilliant. In particular, Sai Kishore and Washington Sundar, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did not watch that game from the very beginning because, of course, it's what a 6 or 6:30 a.m. start. But yeah, I managed to look at a few numbers, a few highlights. I mean, it's basically in both games, India's spinners have just created the difference. Even against Nepal, it was the spinners, Sai Kishore in particular, and even Ravi Bishnoi, who in a 190 plus game, they were going at six economy of 6. So the difference in class between Indian spinners and the opposition batters and their spinners is something which is creating a difference for India. Not to mention that once I mean, who would have thought that India versus Nepal would be closer than India versus Bangladesh? I mean, India versus Bangladesh was no contest. India pretty much ended chasing that 90 odd in 6 overs. Thanks to Tilak Verma and Rituraj Gaikwad having a sublime partnership.
We were on mute. We have to keep doing this. Don't even ask me why I have to do this because it's crazy. Next, what is there about this Afghanistan team? Because they, of course, beat Pakistan to enter the final. And can they have their day out today, or do you think India are too strong?
See, on paper, you feel India are strong, and the fight will be with the spinners because the last game there is one dismissal that really stuck with me, and that was of Sai Kishore, who got the ball to grip and then turn. You got a leading edge to point. It's very rare to have that kind of dismissal in a T20 game. because you are beating the batter not just in the air but off the wicket as well. So I think that's where the difference in class lies. There are some I mean, I wouldn't say big names, but Noor Ali Zazan has played a lot of cricket for Afghanistan. And then you have the Jannat and the Naibs coming so down the order with Ashraf and Farid Malik. So there are people, but I think if they are also batting first, so they'll have to post a score that can challenge the deep batting lineup that India had. So on paper, it looks like India should have most of the bases covered. But I also like the fact how Afghanistan chased, because the Gulbuddin Naib finish, they had lost a lot of wickets. But he was very sure that this is the shorter boundary. He's bowling me length. I'll just wind. So he had what, 4 hits, 2 connected. That was it. The job was done. So I think that was also very smart to not take undue risk, but just back your percentages. So uh, hopefully India can first set it up well, so that you, even if you have some little partnership, because invariably India will concede some runs to someone, so they should still be able to chase it down.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Shivam Dube bowl. I mean, he did bowl with Arshdeep in the previous game as well, I think, which is always good to see Shivam Dube bowl. By the way, the comments, of course, coming through. It's always good to see that, because it's a weekend, India going for goals. So get involved in the chat. And of course, I know there's a lot of kitsch from our end, but just bear with us. We've just reached Chennai. We're going to do a lot of content for you guys, apart from this gold game and more World Cup related stuff. But Tanmay Agarwal, good to see you. Hello, he says. Sanjay going on to say, one more Asian tournament without India-Pakistan final. What is with Pakistan? So, fourth in the Asia Cup, fourth in the Asian Games. Mazak chal raha hai, bhai.
Yeah, maybe they should have probably prioritized one over the other. I mean, क्या बोलूं यार, maybe I'm just goofing around here. See, if you even look at the 11s, right? I mean, you obviously India are still filled with known games despite what 15 men squad in the World Cup, and even Samson and Chahal not being in either of the teams. There are a few noticeable names in Afghanistan, but I mean, I was looking at the Pakistan 11. 3 names, of course. There was Haider Ali, there was Asif Ali, and there was one more. I'm forgetting the name. Gurkirat ka favorite player hai wo. But yeah.
Usman Qadir.
Kushdil.
There's Qasim Akram.
Kushdil Shah, bro.
Kushdil. They have a first wicket. Shivam Dube.
Yep.
Oh, we have
Dube
our
with
first
the
wicket, lads.
Very
Get in.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Yeah.
And Arshdeep catching it
Yeah.
over there. And Indian fans, the Coco Group.
Yeah.
It's good to see. There's always Indian fans. Any stadium. This is a Zujut Stadium, which is such a weird name. It's ZJUT. Have you heard a funnier name, stadium name ever across sport?
Can't think of anything right now off the top of my head, but yeah. But just coming back to the.
भाई how can we forget, मतलब उस स्टेडियम का नाम भी है कि नहीं पता नहीं, but Ben Stokes का बचपन का क्लब यार भाई, अगर वो स्टेडियम का नाम भी वही है.
Cock's Mouth.
Cocker's Mouth.
Believe this again.
Cocker's Mouth. For sure.
It is actually it is. क्या अक्षय क्या बात कर रहा है भाई, कह रहा है
क्या बात
नहीं
कर
पता
It's actually that.
It's actually that. Cockermouth Cricket Club, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
तो हो सकता है ना कि स्टेडियम का नाम भी वही हो जहाँ पर वो खेलते हैं. You never know.
You never know, but it was a good point that Som was mentioning over
Yeah.
there, because if you look at the
see,
teams,
the point that the point I'm trying to make between India and Pakistan is these are the two teams where you would expect them to have a lot of depth in the squads. Now with India, they've selected players whom they're sort of grooming for the future, but Pakistan have essentially gone with a few discards. So this is where I think I was a little taken aback that maybe. I mean, even after so many years of PSL, maybe Pakistan do not have such a big bench strength as probably they should have had by now.
Yeah, I think it just also adds to the point about how good a domestic A tour or under 19 program that India have had, that you have so many players who, even though they may not be regulars, but the moment you see them on the field, you just expect them to do well. So the names that are there on that list, some of them have had a great IPL seasons in the recent past, but otherwise also you hear that name, you have an image of mind that okay, this is what you expect from a Bishnoi or from a Sundar or from a Gaikwad, even before they were regulars in the IPL. So in that sense, it just illustrates. I think that is where I'm keen to see how India shapes up after this World Cup. That if you see on paper, India's depth in terms of a level below is far greater as compared to the other sides. So now the job is to ensure that this cream stays at that level for a longer period of time when they make that second level. So it should be interesting times in that aspect.
Do you agree with Nix? I mean, because he makes a good point there. It's almost us flexing our muscle. Because even if you have to dish out a C team, Akshay, I'm pretty sure India have the resources.
They do, and in fact,
Sorry, I forgot. I thought you
yeah,
were
no worries. Yeah. No, they definitely do, and I do agree with Nikhil Bhai there. What in fact surprises me is how good they have been. If anything, I remember during the Asian Games women's cricket final, I remember saying that in terms of how the women's team was also structuring
Yeah.
and how their B team and C team would look like potentially in the future. I remember making a statement that probably India's B team might not be that much better than say Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and the likes. But that's not been the case. I stand corrected on that. India's B team or C team or whatever you want to call that, because they're not even playing Samson and Child. We have to remember that as well. And despite that, for them to be able to come up with performances like they have in the Asian Games, phenomenal. Like absolutely no doubt.
So I wanted to ask you sorry, if you agree with Sanjay's comment over here, because if you talk about great cricket teams and depth in those cricket teams, can you think of any other ones apart from India 2023 and Australia 2000s? Because we literally have options galore.
No, absolutely. That's a fair comparison. And actually, see, if you come to think of it, uh, the depth in Indian cricket was never a question for the past at least a decade, and if not decade, let's say like the past 5 years. Depth kabhi question tha hi nahi. The two major questions were that are we? I mean, we were always had resources to field 3 11s, but how many of those 11s would be balanced enough to compete at the elitist level? That was always the question. And balance comes from finding pace bowling all rounders, spin bowling all rounders, and probably a few bowlers who can bat. These are the three things that actually offer you balance. Fourth thing is, of course, the optimal mix of lefty righty, which I feel in the future generation, as I see it, is going to be resolved because we are seeing a lot of left-handers coming into the system. But the other three, I'm still a little unconvinced. So India might be potentially be able to field 3 11s, but when it comes to the topmost level where you would need to beat teams like England, Australia, uh, in World Cups, in T20 World Cups, and whatnot, you still need to be in a position where you have a very well balanced first 11. And this is where I still have my doubts over India because they are still relying on Hardik Pandya to be completely fit and Jadeja to click with both bat and ball.
Yeah, I mean, next, do you agree with that point? Because it makes you think even about the all rounders and just the composition of the B squad, C squad. We're in safe hands, I guess.
Yeah, you are, and which is why I said it is something that I've been saying for a while that post this World Cup, I'm looking at separate pools because that is where you will be able to build those talents better. That okay, if you have a separate pool for Test cricket and ODI and T20s, you're not going to then rest and rotate between them. So there, the dependency point should also go away after a point of time. That okay, now we know this is the guy that we want to have in this format. This is the guys for this format, and so you'd also be able to, because see, India, we know how ICC is going to work out. There is an ICC tournament every single year now, and you have second wicket. Sorry, Arshdeep Singh
तो
strikes.
निखिल एकदम सबसे ज्यादा आगे चल रहा है मैं बीच में हूँ आई एम जस्ट फॉर मी अहमद शहजाद ने अभी 4 मारा है एंड तुम लोगों के पास तो शायद उसने 4 भी नहीं मारा ना
नहीं, four मारा है
No,
अभी.
the wicket is now.
Abhi
Literally
wicket
now.
गया.
And it's an
Oh, अच्छा.
innocuous dismissal. It's an absolutely innocuous dismissal.
तो मैं सबसे
Who's
ज्यादा
the
पीछे चल रहा
umpire?
हूँ so
The umpire's given it to him like that.
maybe we need to sync our stream somehow.
No, for sure. But nevertheless, we, of course, are bringing you this watch along. If you guys are joining us, do, of course, leave your comments through as well. Guys, it just makes me think about this pitch in China. I mean, we've seen pretty much all low scoring games apart from that India-Nepal game. Do you think it'll again be just pretty much 100 for India to win and then get that goal home? I mean, quicker the better, right? Considering the awkward spot that we're doing this watch along from.
Yeah, I mean from the point of view of traction, I wouldn't want it to be as quick as you probably. And
Ah,
I mean, I would obviously want a close game since we are putting all this effort to be here for like 3 hours. It's better to call out a game which is worth calling out. Having said that, I mean the point that you brought up, I was thinking about this early morning. Asian Games is going on at one end. I mean, almost all of us who are somewhat sports inclined are talking about, were talking about 100 medals and whatnot. We still don't have cricket in Olympics, whereas we have an ICC event every year. I just want to ask you guys, I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to, I mean, just chuck one of those ICC tournaments at least on an odd year and have cricket in the Olympics? I mean, just imagine, I mean, what kind of a scenario that will create, right? I mean, the point is, at this point of time, how is a Champions Trophy different from a World Cup? You have 10 teams in a World Cup, you have 8 teams in a Champions Trophy, both 50 overs. I mean, I know what Nikhil is alluding to, but if you market it properly, at least.
That is the game. I think I don't know how many agree. I just don't think cricket spends enough time marketing itself. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot by making it individuals or a certain games. There is so much to talk about cricket in terms of stories that are there, how Bangladesh have come through, how Afghanistan have. You have to take the game to people. What they take to people? Oh, watch India Australia. Oh, watch India Pakistan. Oh, watch this rivalry. You are not. You are talking about being inclusive, but you are not actually being inclusive. You are having a Champions Trophy, which is as good as a World Cup. How many teams are going to play the Champions Trophy? How many teams played the World Cup? So that is where, and I buy to the point about having cricket in Olympics. And again, maybe in 28 we'll eventually see that coming through. But I'm keen to, so when it happens, in terms of how do you line up that year, because you already have a window for a certain tournament. So if you guys have an update on when it's likely to happen, at which time of the year, that could also be interesting to see. Okay, which league will it be that will have to make a noise about it, that, oh, this league is something we can't afford, so we'll send these guys. So that
You
is
know,
something that I'm also looking
so
at.
this is where Nikhil, the point that you made about money. Now, this is where I feel letting those domestic leagues prosper so that all the boards are earning money, and then actually hosting ICC events after a duration where it actually makes sense, right? Because I mean, just look at last year. I mean, Australia did not even get to defend the T20 World Cup title for what, even how much was that? 12 months. And just 3 days after the T20 World Cup, England had to play an ODI series just because there is a 50-over World Cup in 12 months. I mean, it is just shambles. And just imagine if, let's say, if a team wins this World Cup, 2025, you have a 50-over Champions Trophy. If some different teams wins it, then what is the? I mean, in the entire argument just shifts, right? कि भाई ये चल क्या रहा है?
Oh, one second. Nix has reacted in a very weird way. So I think there's a third wicket.
There
Is it because Sundar's in?
could be run out.
Almost third wicket.
Could be
Yeah.
run out, he says.
Looks like a run out.
But yeah,
Yeah.
But so, yeah, good point, so man, Nix, because like we're thinking about the World Cup being in India, right? And like you mentioned rightly, Nix, just 10 teams, Champions Trophies, 8. At least back in the day, like I said in one of the shows yesterday, 2007 had 16 teams, 2003 had 14 teams. So that's the thing. And it's another wicket for India. So they're wrapping up proceedings quite early, and it is a run out. I think Ravi Bishnoi by the looks of it. And good on India because they're 11 for 3 indeed. I mean, so it just makes you think about even how they're kind of selling that India-Pakistan game in New York, right? Which is already kind of penciled in. What is the point of taking the game to that part of the globe if you're always kind of having these kind of tournaments in the world? I mean, how will the great game of cricket grow? And it's a good question that we can just talk about right now in the midst of this watch-along.
If for a change, I actually agree with having that India-Pakistan game in New York because I agree with the scheduling part of it for a change. Because I think that that's a space that is waiting to be occupied for cricket, and it's good that you are hosting a 20-over game there and not a 50-over game. Otherwise, the hype would have fizzled out right there. Having said that, now, like Sanjay is saying in the comments, and I actually agree. At this point of time, Champions Trophy as a tournament doesn't make sense. And you're saying that Olympics के लिए time नहीं है, but Champions Trophy के लिए time है. I mean, it's like you have to be very naive to say that, and you have to feel that fans and everyone else is very gullible to actually take you on the face value if you're making such senseless arguments. So this is where I feel a little weird. To Nikhil's point about Olympics, if football can find time for it, if tennis players can find time for it, why not cricket players, right? You can always pick and choose your tournament. You can always it's once in 4 years. You can always plan your calendar accordingly that this is our important tournament. Ultimately, see, there is a reason Olympics are Olympics, right? It's the same thing with the USA. You can win your domestic leagues in baseball and basketball and still call that World Series or World Championship. But what's the point? The world is not playing there. The world is there at playing at the Olympics. So why not play a sport? I mean, push for including a sport there where you have an opportunity to win medals, where you have the opportunity to actually show the world that you are a sporting nation. Why do you want to keep it? Why do you want to just keep cricket among the Commonwealth countries? I mean, if India get it to Olympics, they win a gold there, along with a couple of gold medals here and there. Suddenly, you'll have other countries. Ki bhai export hai jao, hum nahi khel rahe. There is a medal to be won there. Whereas right now, 10-team World Cup, who cares? This is a world of 200 plus countries, and around 200 of them don't even care about a cricket World Cup right now. And we're still going on calling it a World Cup just because we watch it.
And it just makes you think, right? Like he's just mentioned the point there. You look at all the sports, Akshay, football, basketball, volleyball. I'm guessing in bloody throw ball has more than 10 teams in the World Cup competition. So how do they iron this wrinkle up? Because it makes you think they're just going to push the game, like Nick said, on individuals, on certain teams and certain fixtures like in India, Pakistan. But what is that doing to Canada who wants to participate in a World Cup game?
Close.
So that's actually the issue right now. Like with ICC, I feel BCCI has a lot of influence on ICC.
Yeah.
And BCCI is very clear कि उनको पैसे बनाने. Like I'm talking about the big three. When I refer to BCCI, I'm talking about ACB as well and ECB.
But surely they have long-term plans, right?
They don't. I mean, clearly, if they had, then this wouldn't have been the case. If they actually believe, like Nikhil Bhai said, if they actually believed in growing the game, then the game wouldn't have been so exclusive.
Yeah.
It's all about making money. Why do they market the India-Pakistan games, the England-Australia games so much? Why is there so much fanfare around it? Why are there so many ads? Why is there so much chaos around it? For the same reason.
Oh, sorry about the cutlery. We're doing a live show, buddy. So sorry. Even though it's your restaurant, we shouldn't really be barging into it.
But yeah, so basically what I'm
So
saying...
when will we go back to, say, 2007 and see 16 teams? Will we see that format ever come to the fore?
It's very difficult, to be honest. Next year's World Cup does have, like the T20 World Cup does have 16 teams, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't see the ODI format or the Test format seeing more teams than we do right now in the current day and age.
Okay.
And yeah.
1 second, I want to really put this comment to Som because Mukul saying the Olympics are the biggest fraud in the sporting world. They don't pay the athletes. I mean, sure, in terms of the finance, it's not much the most lucrative, but surely it's still more eye-catching.
I mean, Mukul, care to share some details because I'm not gonna really buy this. I don't think that's the case. Of course, we do hear about stories where athletes are struggling for survival even after being medalists later on in the life. But I don't think Olympic as an event has anything to do with it. It's more about the system.
I think there's another wicket, sorry, Som, because I was just peering at my screen over here and could be another run out.
Kitne run out honge bhai? Nahi.
No, it's 13 for 3,
Potentially
4.1,
four.
Could be 13 for 4. By the way, I just saw Tilak Verma there, and I don't know if you guys saw that tattoo of his. Did you see the tattoo of his?
Absolutely.
Which is quite crazy. Oh, I think, has he collected the ball?
He's collected the ball, but I'm not sure if the bat is in the air. Nikhil Bhai, like you must have seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually give us confirmation.
I just feel it's just in. I don't know.
Yeah, just
Just
about
in.
it. Just about it.
Just
The
in.
bat
Yeah,
did
it's not
bounce
out.
in his hands, but yeah.
Mukul Jala going to say the Olympics.
So
are
I
amateur
mean,
sports.
now we can now is the time to know that whether we should be taking Mukul seriously or not.
But I think he's just gaslighting.
Yeah.
I think he's just gaslighting because I think
So
he knows.
I don't want to name names, but I distinctly remember that India were playing England in a test match when Neeraj Chopra's event was going on, and rightfully, the commentators and actually there was a lunch interval, anything in the day's play, and everyone, including Gavaskar and who was there in the lunchtime chatter, were discussing Neeraj Chopra more than the game, and I felt that was actually what should have been done. And there were people on Twitter going crazy. I've logged in to watch cricket. I don't care what other sports are doing. And I was like, dude, come on, matlab, grow up. I mean, this is an actual representation of the cricket boards. that you are so enclosed within your ecosystem that you don't even know, you don't even understand the weightage of other things in life.
Yeah, I agree with Som here. And Mukul, look, I'm not going to be dissing you on a Saturday, but I just think it's lazy from you to just say that the Olympics are amateur sports. Because if you dive deeper, I'm guessing you're a cricket, football, mainstream sport guy, but there's so much of sport and there's a lot of dedication which goes into those athletes. Just because it might not be as glamorous and glorious as cricket and the other sports, it's insane. By the way, Nix, I wanted to ask you this on a side note. Has two cricket teams played at the same time? Afghanistan are playing in Dharamshala and they're playing in China.
Yesterday,
Ooh.
Pakistan.
They played at the same time?
Yeah, yesterday
Yeah,
Pakistan
yeah.
versus Netherlands and Pakistan versus Afghanistan. Both
Oh,
the games
Afghanistan.
happened. Yeah.
But
Same
not at the exact same time. I
Yeah,
think.
not at the exact same time.
That was in the
100%
morning.
That
Morning.
happened in the no, that happened in the
Nahin,
evening, na, because
it was the
it
it was
दोपहर
the
में था.
2
Yeah, yeah, it's
11:30
an
start,
afternoon game.
same as now.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. By the way, Sanjay going on an ad saying Euro, Copa America, the FIFA World Cup itself is a bit of stretch in football here. ICC just keeps adding tournament after tournament. Yeah, I mean, it's quite ridiculous, honestly. And Mukul going on saying amateur is a technical term. I'm not dissing the athletes. And I think India itself did. Two Indian teams last year played.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And one second, there was another comment which alluded to Sanjay and saying, do you think the likes of Mohsin, Arshad, who are lefties, have the potential to hold the bat and hit some blows, so also could focus on batting and just on their bowling, which increases depth?
Wait, Arshad, matlab
I
Arshdeep
think
is there in
Arshdeep.
Arshad.
Yeah. No, I think he means Arshdeep.
So
Arshdeep has been hitting some runs lately.
But Arshad is also lefty, na? Mumbai Indians में खेला था अरशद खान.
अरे हाँ
यार,
वो अरशद हाँ भाई मेरा ही था मतलब मैं ही इतना बोला था हाँ he is an all rounder he तो मतलब वो बैटिंग कर लेता है.
See, I think the first thing is the impact player has to go. That is the first step to take care of more people taking up second skill. क्योंकि नहीं तो there is no motivation. As much as we want to say it, they will eventually promote specialists. But I think something that we discussed about Kuldeep and Shami as well, even for the World Cup, that there has to be enough effort being put into, okay, if you want to rotate strike, what are your options? If you want to find the fence, what are your options? And I think that discussion should happen with everybody in that batting lineup. Till and again, you only have those discussions with people who you know can hold the bat. You know Kuldeep can defend for whatever period of time. So just find a way to just add an extra option that okay, कुलदीप सोचो तो एक ही शॉट याद में आता है कि either it's a sweep or that guide to point. तो ठीक है, maybe just add a bit more power and find the gap there. Or if you want to use a scoop, do it. So it's just those small adjustments. Like you saw Haris Rauf yesterday hit 2 sixes. Now that is the kind of effort that you want के अगर है तो it shouldn't be कि there is no chance. So hopefully that work will go, and I think it will eventually happen. I'm just looking at the potential options of who is the next T20 coach, because I think the message should come from there. That okay, this is the kind of side that we want to build. It's great to have specialists. We can have 2-3 down, but you still need your bowlers to bat a bit more. So let's see how that goes. And of course, both of them. Mohsin ke liye फिर भी I'll still not be as worried about the batting depth. I think his natural bowling itself good enough to take him to the side. But Arshad, again, if there is an option, why not?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, if you guys are just joining us in this watch along, we are watching it in different spaces. You heard Som earlier. Nikhil's watching it ahead of us right now, 20 for 3, 24 for 3, beg your pardon, 5.2. So there are 4 balls left in this power play. We should be getting a 20 over game, even though there's rain around and even though there's cutlery, bill, machine sounds coming from our end. Indeed. Rohan Patel, good to see you in the chat. Question the panelists, which is your favorite non-mainstream sport? We'll come to that. And you also asked us another question earlier. Did you watch the Sepik? A tough crowd sport. It's damn tough. I'll tell you what, I just kind of peered to it and I feel like it has a lot of skill. It's almost like kick volleyball, and I've seen a lot of people play it in Thailand. But Som, have you kind of seen the sport? Do you think you'll ever take to it in life?
No chance. मैं normal football अच्छे से नहीं खेल पाता. ये क्या खेलूंगा यार?
Okay, let's answer Rohan's earlier question then. What is your favorite non-mainstream sport? Beg your pardon.
But how do you define non-mainstream? Which sport? I mean, I watch a decent amount of badminton. Is it non-mainstream?
I would say table tennis to play and watch. I just think that's good. But like, yeah, it's a good question that you made. Let's assume that cricket, football, tennis, basketball are the main sports. I'm sorry, I don't want to be a sportist, if that's a word. But
Formula One.
Yeah, F1.
Like, how would you
Formula One.
call it? What would you call it? Is it? I think it's a mainstream
No,
sport.
yeah,
It's an
mainstream
elite sport for sure. So is golf.
Yeah.
So is golf, indeed. Outside top 20
top 20
famous.
famous sport. Hmm.
For me personally, तो मुझे पता है it's Kabaddi. I really, really, really love the sport. Follow it a lot, and yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, it's unfortunate that a sport like Kabaddi has also not made it to the Olympics. Like that's something I really hope happens, and that's something that's possible even more quicker than cricket, because cricket still has a lot of constraints in terms of how the game is played, the format, and all of that. Kabaddi is a proper 40-minute and 40-minute out game that can be played quickly, so it matches most of Olympics. IOC's criteria. Unfortunately, Somesh Bhai had mentioned before, Kabaddi ka lobby utna strong hai nahi filhal. Let's hope that turns that.
I
Kabaddi
really
is a
hope.
great shout.
And talking about Kabaddi, Kabaddi was the 100th medal for India earlier today.
Yeah.
Indian women beat Chinese Taipei to. I mean, the game that was drawn in the group stage, they went on to win that game by 1 point. And India are playing in a revenge sort of a match with Iran later in the evening. Indian
Yes.
men. That's also, they're eyeing the gold medal there. Of course, यार संजय मतलब javelin किसका favorite नहीं है यार, मतलब there was the Neeraj Chopra event going on, entire office was glued to the TV screen, and now we had India 1-2, and Neeraj was given a run for his money
I heard.
by Bastav's friend from Odisha.
For sure. By the way, I just thinking of other sports over here. Netball, Coco, paddle,
I'm not that.
all
into
fun
it
to watch and
personally.
play. Next, what about you? Chess, someone
Yeah.
says. Tanmay Agarwal.
Hey, chess has to be mainstream. Yeah, chess कहाँ से
Yeah.
not mainstream हो गया?
Surely I'm thinking it falls in the top 20 sports
Yeah.
in the world,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
By the way, Rohan
think
Patel
I-
also going on. Go on. Finish your comment. And then I'll
No,
take
no,
over.
I think just the Kabaddi and TTS are the two things that I have participated and played a bit. Don't get to follow much because I don't get time off cricket. But whenever I get, it's always good to have a few more options.
Yeah, I think Nick, you told me that story where you beat someone after playing so
Yeah.
long in table tennis, and that's how I know it.
Yes.
By the way, Mukul's back in the conversation, so he's not letting you go easily.
No, it's fine. I mean, we can take Mukul's comment. So actually, the thing with Olympics is, like he's rightly said, that IOC is not really they don't hand out prize money. It's basically the governments at the end of the day who dish out money for medalists and whatnot. And it's ultimately, see, the point is, developing all sports is comes down to the government itself. If the government stops supporting cricket in India, there will be no grassroots, right? Like Ranji Trophy mein, if players are getting paid, who is paying them? Ultimately, it's coming from the government. Although BCCI is so successful because they have identified a revenue stream for themselves. But Olympics for me is about having that global clout, right? It's it's sort of obvious why the USA and the China are the top two Olympic medal winning countries in the world, because they want to have the clout in the world system as well. And this is where I feel that India can do much better in sort of promoting sports or lobbying for sports in which they are dominant. So it's not always about money, right? There are a lot of
Exactly,
things that are done just for gaining the clout or gaining some sort of weightage in the international system.
Yeah, the kind of soft power that sports generates,
Soft
and
power is the
countries.
word. Yeah.
Exactly. And this you can see how Qatar and Saudi Arabia have been extremely aggressive in terms of bringing sports to their countries.
But
There's
that's
a reason,
sports washing.
of course, but there's a reason why they're doing that, because they want that soft power. Imagine if India were able to compete with the likes of China in sports, then more sports would make its way into India. That in turn would come up with different, like more people
Yeah.
taking to sports. All of it. It's a huge. The network effects are endless, and the opportunities there, and all that can create.
Okay, fine. So then, why can't we just talk about one plaguing issue which has been bothering Indian sports? Som just spoke about it before we came on, and it's wrestling, right? Our wrestlers are brilliant, dude. Absolutely brilliant. But why is there such a shit show in our country about wrestlers? Som, you can go, and then Akshay, you can add on.
I mean, see, the point is we don't need to single out wrestling at the moment, because something that we've discussed in the past. It's not just about that. It's about See, first and foremost, we need to. वो बोलते हैं low lying fruit. What is the low lying fruit in terms of getting medals immediately? Because ultimately, if India will go on to win medals at these international events and the Olympics, is when you'll start getting the eyeballs. And once you get it, then you will be able to do that SWOT analysis. Ki bhai, these are the sports wherein we have a strength. These are the sports which probably we will never be able to compete. So no point even focusing on them. Then there are sports which are not there where we can compete. Those are your opportunities. And then obviously, then putting it out together, then what are the threats we need to counter to go to that point? And this is where I feel like cricket is a sport, Kabaddi is a sport which needs to be there in the Olympics. Cricket definitely, I think Indian cricket has enough clout to ensure that cricket goes its way to the Olympics, both in men's and women's. And that's like 2 medals assured. I'm not saying 2 golds, but at least 2 medals of some color assured for India if everything goes as per plan. So, and from there on, you can get on it. I mean, cricket may be the kind of money that cricket has seen in the past 2 decades. It was not always there. It built because the sport became so famous. And as Akshay rightly said, imagine 20-25 years down the line that the 150 odd crore people in India are so invested in Olympics and games. You would have eyeballs. You'll have broadcasters lining up to dish out crores. And similarly, the kind of clout that BCCI have in ICC, maybe the Indian Olympic Committee can actually have with the International Olympic Committee, because you have that resources of population, of eyeballs.
Definitely. And in fact, another thing just to add to that, and also going back to the conversation we had during the women's finals watch along, this is where, for a country like India to have multiple sports where people are like we said, the likes of Australia, the likes of the US, they all have 7-8 sports that their people look at, watch, and follow. That's not the case with India. With India, you see cricket being followed massively. Then there's like 50 miles of gap, and then you'll finally have the likes of Kabaddi.
But then it comes down to the point that literally Sanjay is making here. Marketing the sport is also something which Indian sport bodies don't do well in that regard. I feel PKL did a way better job than IPL, given IPL had the backing of Indian cricket. Look, I was involved in the first ever season of the PKL, the first ever job, and the way they brought it and packaged it together, I would honestly put down that to the broadcaster Star Sports, because you're taking a national sport and you're packaging it for the household viewership. And I think the way Kabaddi has grown and exponentially as well is fantastic. But I hope that it has a ripple effect across sport. And that's not happened since. I mean, I know there's ISL and all of those things.
There's your pro volleyball league. There are a lot of sports that have these leagues, and even with Kabaddi, despite it being the second most popular league in India, if you look at the numbers in isolation, the kind of viewership and the kind of eyeballs that cricket generates, Kabaddi is nowhere close to it. And that's the opportunity that we're looking at. That's the kind of opportunity we need to tap into. Like the way Kabaddi has been marketed, even volleyball has done a good job. Credit to them. And I hope volleyball also succeeds that way. And it becomes more popular. And just one more sport to add in terms of Olympics medals. Kho-Kho is another game that India has been good at.
Yeah.
That's another
historically.
Game. Yeah, exactly. That's another game that can be looked at.
Okay, Rohan getting into the chat again, saying only people playing non-pro sports will become from humble backgrounds or really rich both, or have nothing to lose. Middle class will never pursue these sports which are not pro. And it's something that we spoke about in that women's watch along. By the way, if you didn't watch that, watch it. It's one of our best watch alongs ever. And so, like, we've taken that example of Abhinav Bindra. He was fortunate to go into shooting. And then we spoke about the all expensive sports. How can that be possible? Can we start a sporting scholarship for someone who has a talent? But even for them to start shooting, you're not going to get the equipment, right? So how does it work?
See,
even if you want to work backwards,
there will be some sports which won't be accessible to everyone. I mean, can't do anything about it. If you're, let's say I come from MP, right, and I want to pursue sailing or any sort of that sports, physically not possible unless and until I have the wherewithal to move to a place where those kind of resources are available. So ये issue हमेशा ही रहेगा. My point is, even if ideally we would want people from all demography, everywhere, to have an equal participation. But even if we talk about people from actually humble backgrounds or elite people who should be able to pursue this, अगर वो percentage भी हम बढ़ा पाए, it will be a lot of people. And then from there, things can move in different directions. I mean, if you look at football, for example, almost every other footballer have a sob story. I mean, sorry to use that word, but that's a reality. So, but at the end of the day, there are countries who are producing enough elite level footballers, and almost all of them are coming from humble backgrounds. I know it's not ideal, but even if we start producing more athletes who can compete at an Olympic level, and all of them come from humble backgrounds, it's not a bad thing.
Fuck, sorry. Someone in the chat is also saying, why hasn't basketball gotten big in India? I just think it coincides with the timing because the NBA is the biggest property in the world. And if literally like a niche crowd's just waking up in the morning to watch it, no one's really going to pursue it. And plus, it's all like football, right? Where you just need two jackets and a ball and you can kick it around the park. Basketball, you need the basket, you need the facilities. Badminton, you need a court or you need some sort of indoor thing because the wind plays a part and all of that stuff. Rachit Tiwari, good to see a new name in the chat. Subscribe if you're new. Hockey India League is supposed to be back next year. Really love watching hockey. Hope the league comes back. I remember the first ever hockey league. Bangalore won that. Bangalore actually won something.
Do you guys know the hockey and a cricket connection which is going on right now in our country? No, it's
Give
fine.
us another clue.
If you okay, it's something to do with the 2011 World Cup.
That audio ad.
Nahi re, kya hai yaar. So basically, Paddy Upton is the mental strength and conditioning coach of the Indian hockey team before this Asian Games.
Oh, well done. Brilliant. By the way, Nix, can you give us an update of what's happening? Because all I can do is just peer to the scorecard of cricket.com. 45-3, 8.3, am I right?
Yeah, it is 47 for 3. He just had an overthrow. Kamal hit a good boundary towards point, and elsewhere in the other game, Somesh's favorite Shahidi has gotten out for a strike there that he will not, or maybe we will talk about it in the review of that game. Side of 47, just for that ammunition for Somesh to talk later. But yeah, in this game, looks like Sai and Bishnoi both have been bowling well, but a good partnership this for Afghanistan. India will want a wicket now. Now would be a good time to take one.
Yeah, remember, India don't return home single-handedly. They'll either get the silver or the gold. And Rohan Padal saying equestrian. I think one of my friends did take part in, what was it? Fuad Mirza, basically. A very, very humble guy. But again, I'm not saying he's privileged by any stretch of the imagination. But for you to take up even horse racing is a sport. Like, you look at all the jockeys, Bangalore Turf Club, Bombay Turf Club, all of that. Essentially, if they want to get into these sports, you have to pay the bucks somewhere, somehow down the line, right?
Definitely, it is an expensive sport. Make no mistake. Not just the classes, to have access to these clubs, all of that in itself is a privilege. That's very invisible, so to say. So it's very hard, for us to just straight up, wake up one day and become good at sports like horse riding or something like that. We can start, like Sony said, low-hanging fruits, pakdo. Pehle focus on the sports that we actually take part in, that we're actually good at, that we've actually reached a certain level.
I mean, in terms of financial discrepancies, and this is a question for all three of you all, what is the cheapest sport in India you can play? Is it football? Is it cricket? Because you just need a bat ball and you can keep anything as wickets. Because badminton, you need a net and you need, of course, that. Hockey as well, even though it was just part of our DNA, and I know it was played in mud fields more than like the tarmac that they use right now. What is the cheapest sport? So,
Kabaddi.
Nick, Kabaddi?
Nothing. There's
Kabaddi,
nothing.
else.
Absolutely nothing.
Coco, nothing.
Coco, exactly. Yeah.
But how many people will aspire to take up Coco Kabaddi? You need someone to go down the line to play.
If you go to the hinterlands of India, you'll find a lot of people actually playing Kabaddi. It is quite common, especially in the Hindi belt. It's very common. People actually play as a pastime. It's like how we play gully cricket and all of that. Gully Kabaddi is an actual thing, just because we don't see it in urban areas or areas where we usually go to. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's definitely a thing. And for some reason with Kabaddi, what I personally felt is there's a certain Indianness to it, where not a lot of people want to take up to it because they don't think of it as being an international sport or as being a popular enough sport. It's like the way I look at it is the way most people, treat Hindi speaking people and English speaking people. That's how I feel Indians treat Kabaddi vis-a-vis other sports. Where for some reason, despite it having a lot of eyeballs, a lot of people watch it, there's still not a lot of people getting into the sport itself.
But those two sports were obviously originated in India, right? Like
Exactly,
historically as well.
yeah.
So there was another question which came through, I think, on Twitter the other day when we were doing the women's watch along, and they were like, "Can you just explain why China do better than India, even though we're level in terms of population and even though there are discrepancies?" I mean, it's a simple question, but surely you can elaborate on this.
It's so meanwhile there is a wicket.
We just
So
we
maybe we
just
can,
had the wicket.
yeah, maybe we should focus on that, and I'll come back to the question, which
Sure.
has a
Yeah,
very obvious
Bishnoi.
answer by the way. But yeah, Nikhil.
Yeah. No, I think I'll just also just maybe give you just add my bit to bit about why other countries do better. It's also because of the awareness and the acceptance of it as well as something that you can pursue. So we've had comments where you say, a certain section can look up to it very easily while the other will not be able to. But if you make the awareness and you take the sport, and the initiative has to come from people who have it in them and who know the know-hows of it, and then you identify localities and areas as well where you will find that talent coming through to get those sports into them and make them feel that okay, it is fine to take it up, there is scope. So, and that is something that I'm hoping after this Asian Games as well. These things should just not disappear. Now, you keep hearing about Neeraj Chopra, which is why the interest keeps growing. That okay, there are 10 more people who will know about the sport now. Now, you won 100 medals, there will be 10 more people who will hear about it. But what after that? So, I think just the population is not going to be enough. We'll have to make all of them aware. And firstly, not all of them are going to be able to take it up as a professional thing and in their lives. So that adjustment will also be have to be made for them to be able to think, okay, this is still possible as a viable option for me and for my family. Because no matter what we say, some of us and most of us have the privilege of picking our options. Not a lot of people have have that privilege in the first place.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And in fact, Sanjay making a point saying at the school level, Kabaddi and Kho are some of the popular sports in the tier 2 India. The interest is amongst people to play it, and just the career aspects don't make them attractive. By the way, lots of people chipping into the chat, which is good to see. Cricket Datashan, we always like you. Thanks for joining. Like this video as well, all you guys. Fact, it is Afghanistan's first top 3 finished since World Disability Series in 2019. Thanks for that. He also says, Akshay, you are spot on, my friend. I have a Kabaddi podcast, he goes on to say. So, with my experience, I understand that Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu have a lot of Kabaddi talent, despite 70% of talent are from Haryana.
Even if you look at the PK, there are very few people from Maharashtra, from Karnataka, from even Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate. Like, off the top of my head, I can think of just 2 players from Karnataka. I can think of just probably 3 players from Tamil Nadu. Same as the case, Maharashtra is still better, but Haryana definitely takes the cake in terms of
UP,
UP.
the likes of Ajay Thakur and stuff.
No, Ajay Thakur is from Uttarakhand.
Oh, he's from Uttarakhand.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. By the way, Rohan Patil is the same man who asked us about our educational qualifications. Now he goes on to ask us our hobbies and girlfriend and what you did in the night of the India beating Pakistan. Quickly, so what are your hobbies apart from cricket? Sabko bol do. I open 3,000 tabs and I read so much in a day, which is fantastic to you, man. More knowledge, the merrier.
I mean, there is some FOMO to it as well, not just the thirst for knowledge. Yeah, I mean, like to reading. I like working out. मेरे को देख के लगता नहीं होगा, but that is just
You
my
like your
metabolism.
meat. You like your meat.
Yeah, so I ensure that I can eat enough in a day. So yeah, except those hub sites, Rowan. Yeah, time and again, maybe those two. But yeah, I think reading and just some physical activities.
Fair. Next, what about you? Because you mentioned table tennis over there and other things, but you're a happy family man, aren't you?
Yeah. I love to spend time off cricket, which is very rare and less this time. But I think I also like to. I play kabaddi, kho, but very little. But cricket is still very regular. I like to play musical instruments. I know 4 of them, so that's a good outlet for me at times to have. And yeah, we had Ganpati now. Navaratri is coming. Might be compromised because of the World Cup, but there are there. I have a few instruments in my house, so that is what I stick to.
Which is good to see. Hobbies for me, I don't
But
know.
can Pappu dance?
Yeah, Garba. Yes. And
he mentioned
I will not,
everything.
I will not be. See, I'm not someone who's going to dance. I'm a proper Ganpati Visarjan dancer. Yeah, वैसा भी नहीं है, but I can do good garbas. But that is also with my wife. I don't think I'll look good dancing alone, but decent enough. पप्पू से तो better dance हो जाए in that
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, we just came from.
Out of all of us, only Avnish will look good dancing alone, maybe.
No, if
Even
Gurkirat
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Akshay can. Yeah, Akshay can.
if
yeah.
Gurkirat was here, he would like correct you because he would be like he knows only one step, which is sad. But yeah, speaking of Garba and Navratri, we came from Ahmedabad.
Gurkirat knows the hook step of Chokra Jawan.
And he was practicing that Jawan new song. What was that? Chale ya. That was, he was singing that. By the way, what are your hobbies? Because you're a reader, you're a walker.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't call you Johnny Walker, man.
Yeah, on mute. Yeah. Just like so many. I also love reading. Just try and read as much as possible. Love listening to podcasts and yeah.
What are you currently reading? You took a book off my sister.
Yeah, so I've taken 3 books from Avnish's sister. So right now I'm rereading Desperately Seeking Shahrukh. So I was like, I'd listened to the audio book before, and I wanted to read it now because audiobook with passive listening, I knew that I would have missed out on a few specifics. So I wanted to sort of, read it properly just because I love that book. And apart from that, yeah, podcasts on a daily basis. I just step out and walk as much as I can. It's just I like that me time.
And food.
Food, definitely. Food, I don't even consider it to be a hobby, to be honest.
hobby,
It's
yeah.
just a
Hobby
part
नहीं है
of-
भाई, वो need है. Let's not count
exactly.
our needs as hobbies.
Yeah,
No, but
exactly.
see, I'll just add, those needs also have a lot of wants. So the need might still be a smaller part of it. The wants
Yeah.
don't end.
Oh, nearly another wicket there. Shabazz into the attack, 52 for 4, 10.3. Let's skip away
There is-
from all the.
It
fluff.
is a wicket.
Oh, there
It's
is a wicket. Is that a wicket?
Not this
Yeah.
one, I'm guessing it's the next ball.
He
अगली
he
ball
went
भाई,
that
निकल
first.
निकल एक ball आगे.
Fair enough. By the way,
Nawaz Ahmed
Tanmay
getting
Agarwal,
Jannat.
good to see you. Chess not being part of the Olympics, still astonishingly this year. Chess
and there is one more wicket in the World Cup game.
52 for 5.
Najib
So this game is
gone.
going to get done early, guys. By the way, this man saying this particular comment. This year, Chess Olympiad had 186 countries in open, 160 in the women's section. Really good at it, and it's still not popular in India. I don't know how they pick and choose. I mean, the IOC, right? So can you just give me a little bit of information on this? Baseball is an Olympic sport.
We
But-
probably will have to add Siva Subramaniam from the team to
Fair.
walk us through the nitty-gritties
No, but like
of
I just
chess.
want to
He's
understand.
much more well-versed.
You guys know generally how any new sport is inducted into the Olympics.
So they have criteria in terms of what sort of a sport it is, what is required, and they have 5-6 points like agility and whatever time taken and stuff like that. So all
But
these
even the whole
boxes-
cricket chat in the LA 2028 games, is that because there was a long-standing feud between the World Anti-Doping Agency and then
There
NADA
is,
and the
yeah.
BCCI and that whole trickle effect?
that definitely has played a part. But right now the problem is, in terms of them having to tick those boxes, each sport that comes in needs to tick those boxes, which is why you see random sports like, for example, breakdancing is going to be a part of the 24 Olympics. Breakdancing,
is
exactly,
a sport.
is a sport.
Avnish!
24 Olympics.
How do you win
You
that?
you have an opportunity to win a medal for India.
Bro, I'll just do the break. I don't know about the dancing, but
By the way, probably this is the first time ever when two men's cricket teams from the same country are 5 wicket down at the same time. Afghanistan are 5 wicket down there and 5 wickets down here.
Could there be a possibility that at the same time, 2 left-arm spinners dismissed a batter from Afghanistan bowled?
It's almost the same time. Matlab,
and that to 2 left-arm spinners.
Exactly, 2 left-arm spinners getting a batter bowled at the same time.
but one righty, one lefty. But thoda sa change hai, but you're still getting bowled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 second, squash isn't part of the Olympics?
I would
Like
to
Josh
believe.
Nachinappa hasn't played in the Olympics.
I would imagine so. I have every reason to believe Shaunak here.
Okay, yeah, we'll back Shaunak over there. PKL, going back to that chat, 100%. I honestly think Kabaddi will definitely grow in stature and all of that. But right now, as we speak, India are inching closer to their goal. So, of course, throw in a like. I know it's been not that much of a hectic watch along, but we're trying to do our best to bring it to you guys.
That's the reason there was no Chinese athletes in the major draws of squash games. At the end of the day, towards the end, it was mostly the Malaysians and all. Abhi samajh
Yeah,
mein aaya.
Malaysians and Pakistanis are pretty good as well. Rohan Patel asking Nikhil, what do you think about the recent tax imposed by the government on fantasy sports? Nikhil, you can leave this one outside off stump, bro. No
It
problem.
is.
नहीं जरूरी
ये
नहीं है
I'll just say दुखती नस पे हाथ मत रखो सबके.
सबके
See, I
भाई
think
हमारे भी
इसके लिए तो बोला सबके. I did not specify myself there. But again, I think we all saw it coming. That someday it would happen, and they woke up to it. Good, bad is something that we can't tell. What is the motive behind that? What's the intent? As long as everybody is careful, and because it is habit forming and it is financially risky, so you have to invest smartly and be think what is best for you. Baki, I don't think there is anything to add to that thing because it's already done, and I don't see it going back.
Yeah, I'll play a slight devil's advocate here. I feel that on the one hand, it's not very, it might not even be sustainable for the industry in the shorter run. But government taxing something means government legitimizing something. So that can be taken
The
as a
only
positive
problem,
that at least
the-
now they won't go down the route of banning things and all that.
but the only problem with that is it was always legitimized. It was legal. It was known as game of skill for a
नहीं but
considerable
issues
amount
तब
of
पे
time.
होते थे ना कि states ban कर रहे थे time and again
That
a lot of
is,
but they
and
can't
that
do
is
it now
still the concern.
now but they can't do it now that it's
But
centrally taxed
nobody
you
will be
can't
left. Nobody will be left to play. अगर तुम ban भी करोगे तो कोई बचना चाहिए. As well, it is not going to be sustainable for a long period of time.
absolutely
So,
yeah this is where now
yeah.
the cases will be handled and
Yeah.
if
But
it comes down
can we
to
take a Shlomo, can we take a page out of UK's book in terms of how they handle betting and all of that stuff? Because it's legit out there in the market. It's open.
I see, I've always been a firm believer that betting should be legalized.
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
the
I mean,
amount
there is
of tax
absolutely no
revenue.
reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean you are losing out on good money, and actually, if you're legalizing betting, is when you can properly overlook any malpractices are going on between teams and players because everything would be out in the open.
Now, what is out in the open is that the receptionist is come saying, "Sir, your room is ready." So I will have to just
Perfect.
go
perfect.
and quickly
Lovely.
get one.
Best news to my ears and everyone else's. No, you won't have to listen to the cutlery. Take your time, guys. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Please
done.
don't take more than 10.
Yeah.
Just rush.
No.
Yeah.
No, for sure. But before I go, I just want to confirm. So she just called me there. I don't know. So
Okay.
Akshay will be when I come back in case
Yeah.
there's another discrepancy. So just hold on, and we'll keep taking questions as well. And like this particular stream, and move on with the conversation. Man.
100%.
We can maybe we
Yeah.
can take Babar Apte's comment.
Yes, I was about to ask the same thing. I
So
don't know.
पहले तो नाम बढ़िया है भाई बाबर राव.
Babar Apte. I think it is fun to celebrate. I think it's just a general thing that I feel that I don't know. Yeah, also sometimes it gets overboard, but I think the line is very blurred for people.
Mm.
के अब हो गया है तो what is the guy going to do? If you want to do
Yeah.
something, do when he's out there. So maybe he can respond. And you have another wicket. Taskin Ahmed has taken out Mohammad Ali there. So
चलो
hopefully
वहाँ
one more will fall here.
वहाँ 6 हो गए तो यहाँ भी 6 होने चाहिए. But
Exactly.
didn't Van Meekeren himself थोड़ा पंगा उसने भी किया था ना first things में. He also was a little more exuberant in celebrating.
See, he was chatty. I don't remember
उसने
celebration kind of thing.
celebration के लिए थोड़े विकेट लेने पड़ेंगे. I don't recall him taking.
He
He
took
took
one
a wicket
wicket.
yesterday.
हाँ,
He
एक ही
took a
लिया
wicket.
था.
Top order था
हाँ,
लेकिन.
one, yeah.
He took Imamullah on
हाँ,
the
वही
on the short ball. But I still feel कि again ठीक है यार मतलब सबका अपना अपना होता है. Maybe he pointed to Ishan Kishan to go, and you know how it ended for Pakistan there. So I don't know. It's fine. As long as we get Srisad Andanel type of celebrations, I'm all cool because that is proper fun. But we don't see that very often today these times. So ठीक है, क्या कर सकते हैं?
हाँ, आखिरी तक तो वो भी सब sorted ही था. I love the wing that Basdil
It was great. It was. I'll
Gave
tell
to
you,
Harith
I
Rauf,
was
yeah.
so genuinely happy because it was the same eye, that got hit in the T20 World Cup and that short ball. And he actually bowled a short ball which he dug. He did not read well. But the next one that came, he was ready for it and he pulled it with aplomb. And then that wing, that is, those are the moments that you live for. For a guy to be able to come back from there, because it's not easy to take on the short ball when you've already been hit. We've seen what's happened with people in the past when they've been hit. So kudos to Basil. I mean, great day for him.
True. And talking about comebacks, Afghanistan right now 65 for 5, 12.2
Yeah.
overs. They've just hit a 6 right now. Do you see them making a comeback? Like, मतलब 8 ही over बचे हैं अभी. इसके बाद India, we've already spoken about the kind of batters they have in their lineup. How do you see, like,
Yeah.
because Afghanistan have a couple of really good spinners. They've got Qais Ahmed.
Yes.
They've also got Zahir Khan. Both of them are experienced. They've also played a bunch of franchise league cricket matches and all of that. So you see Afghanistan making their way back into this game. Is there any way they can crawl their way into the game?
Yeah, I think so far though they have done decently well to stay up with the red. I think Kamal has played a good knock. So I'm very interested to see if they feel that the surface is still better, because there have been a few balls where you feel that okay, it's probably hasn't looked that hard, but there are balls where you felt that oh, by how are they surviving? So in terms of that, I hope they don't give them more than 130. I think having a rate of around 6 would be good for this deck, so that even if there is some discrepancy or some hold or one good spell, you still have enough to not worry about the rate, because the boundaries are short. You will need two batters to really have a very good day for you to close the gap between bat and ball. So, in that sense, so uh, that is my hope. Baki, in terms of batting left, they have this is the last batting pair. You have Ashraf who can bat, and then that's only the bowling. So यहाँ पे अगर wicket ले ले, okay, there is an appeal but no wicket. So they could keep them down to 130 or even below that.
All right, so Somesh, what do you think would be the pass score here? Like, how much should Afghanistan be aiming for? Because Nikhil Bhai says anything below 130 would help them. I mean, would help India. That is. Do you see
Yeah, I
Afghanistan
mean,
making more than it?
I had something similar in mind that below 120 would be, I think, will make this a very one-sided game. So at least they need to, aim at least above 120. यहाँ से 150 तो थोड़ा मुश्किल है, but if they get to 135, 140, then it will be a very good contest to watch.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Just coming back to the game once again, a couple of boundaries in the same over. Shahbaz Ahmed going for a few runs here. And also with Shivam Dube's batting and bowling. Sorry, I completely missed Somesh's point there. If Somesh could say the last bit, because there's a lot of chatter going around.
What I said was if Afghanistan can reach 140, it will be a very good game to watch.
Just a minute, guys. Just a minute. You both can just carry on. Just give me a second.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है. I think there is too many messages from him from the other end to be able to hear everything. But Somesh, what do you make of Shivam Dube bowling with a new ball? Do you think there is? I feel there is a very pertinent or intent motive from the management to see him as a bowler, because otherwise this doesn't seem any reason to do that.
Yeah, but option भी नहीं है ना. This is the way they have selected a team. Maybe they the only thing that they can do is maybe start off with a spinner, but then है बंदा तो करा लो, क्या पता first over में थोड़ा swing हो जाए and he can get someone out.
Yeah, because I think his bowling is handy, but not on all surfaces. I think there are surfaces where it is worth the option, because even the wicket that he got, we know that is the best way for him to take a wicket. So, do you think he's
And
someone? Again, we had this question in the previously as well. Okay, how much can you groom a guy like Shivam Dube? I think as of now he's a 1 or 2 over bowler. इससे ज़्यादा आप
But
उससे
I think
expect नहीं कर
that's enough, right? I mean, अगर तुम देखोगे तो even if in a T20 World Cup in venues where there will be assistant for seamers, even if he can bowl 2 overs, he will be a very good value add for the side, because we know that he's a proper 6-hitter.
Yeah, because I just feel कि उसका with Shivam you will have to be very very sure of the deck and the right entry point as even as a bowler. क्योंकि if he's seen as a guy that teams want to go after, then and if the deck is not in his support, then I don't think उसके 2 over will be something that you can get away with. क्योंकि he has a decent Yorker, मतलब just to put it out there, but pace नहीं है उतना. And if people are able to read it well, so then it could be trouble.
So this is where the captain has to be a little smart. कि भाई कब लाना है उसको. अगर उसको तुम तब लाओगे when teams will target him, तो फिर it can be a cause for concern. By the way, I mean India are playing 3 gold medal games
Same
at the
time.
same time,
Yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
becoming very difficult for me to keep a track as well. So maybe, and we obviously can't forget the World Cup game as well. तो भाई
Yeah.
बहुत
नहीं,
कुछ चल रहा है अभी, and
I'll
बीच
keep
में
an eye on 2 cricket games.
and बीच में अवनीश और अक्षय का ये पूरा बसड़, तो
Yes,
मतलब बिल्कुल प्रॉपर
चलता रहेगा.
प्रियदर्शन की स्क्रिप्ट टाइप का लाइफ हो गया है अभी.
बस
True.
we just need one guy to walk back just like this and be like, क्या चल रहा है यार?
क्या कर रहे हैं लोग? But just since you guys mentioned Shivam Dube, batting wise, he's had just one knock so far. The game against Nepal where he scored a 19 ball 26. Not exactly the fastest, not exactly the most fluent knock that he's played. Something that wasn't actually expected of him. People thought Nepal के against bowlers उतने अच्छे नहीं है, ऊपर से ground इतना छोटा है, he'll probably have, scoring, he'll probably be scoring sixes for fun and all of that. That's not been the case. Given that India play Australia in a 5-match T20I series 4 days after the World Cup, do you see someone like a Shivam Dube making his way into the Indian setup?
उस समय
Nikhil
तो
bhai, you can,
पक्का ही.
yeah,
Because I
Somesh
think-
bhai, you can go first. Yeah, yeah.
No, what I feel is almost every player of the ODI setup would be rested for that series. So in that series, so for sure we can see him in the team, because I'm not even expecting Hardik Pandya to play that series. So then you have to have Shivam Dube there. Maybe the one player from this team who can actually feature in that series is Shardul Thakur, but no one else.
Sky, maybe because Sky wouldn't be getting in World Cup games
Yeah,
anyways.
maybe Sky probably as the captain as well for that team.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah, true.
unless of course there's something drastic happens and Sky ends up playing the last few all the last few games for India in this World Cup.
Interesting.
So basically a couple of 36 odds in the quarters and the semis of maybe 18 balls. Let's see.
True. But in terms of names that you want to see, who do you think from the Asian Games will make it to the Indian squad for the Australia series? Because there's so many newcomers, there's so many newbies who are playing this, who are featuring in this tournament. The likes of Jitesh, Rinku, Dube. There's I'm forgetting more names. Up top, there's Yashasvi Jaiswal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's also Gaikwad for that matter.
Yeah. I think
So you
most
see
of
all
them
of
will
them?
feature actually. I think most of them will feature. And I won't be surprised if the top 5 is similar. Because
So
there
no
isn't
Sanju
a
again.
name. See, I don't think Sanju had a future in T20 format for India. I think his best format is the ODI one. Again, because of the game also that he has shown for RR as well. And again, Som can shed light there, where you've kind of felt that he's probably in two minds in most games. That what is the exact, sometimes I don't know, I get the feeling that he's probably stuck between being the aggressor or being the guy who's playing the situation. So I think it sometimes gets stuck in that line. The one thing that I definitely want to see in Shivam Dube is because see, he has the rare skill of being a proper spin basher. You don't have too many of him in the setup as well. So Rinku has had issues versus starting versus hitting spin. Tilak is somebody that I'm definitely looking to keep an eye on. So if you have a middle order that is clicking with Jitesh, Dube, and Tilak, it could be a great asset to have come the West Indies T20 World Cup, because you expect those kind of wickets. So वहाँ पे, as you said, it's something to keep an eye on. Ke maybe the strike rate may not always be great, but it could happen that the majority of the runs could come from boundaries due to power. So I think it is always good to try them out. And again, maybe Australia would be a good place to start. I mean, in India only, but against Australia.
Oh, the umpire has been knocked out.
Oh, geez. Is it?
मिले सु मेरा तुम्हारा.
So now, as I see it, is when it comes to the 2024 World Cup, it will be about who would be India's
he got
keeper. Now there are 3 options: Ishan Kishan, Jitesh Sharma, and Sanju Samson. Now, if India are pretty sure that they are going to open with Jaiswal and Shubman Gill, which they should, that means Kishan has to wait. And then you are left with choosing between Jitesh and Samson, because I don't potentially see a fourth option. How
Completely
India go on to select their teams, I feel that Samson can still make the cut owing to the seniority quota. Fair होगा नहीं होगा ये मुझे नहीं पता, but I have a feeling at least for the 2024 World Cup, Jitesh Sharma might have to wait unless and until he ends up having a mad IPL season in 2024.
Acha, but just on that point, it's also see the only place there is that where I debate for Jitesh is Jitesh probably is going to bat at 6 or 7.
Okay.
Agreed. And ये
So,
हमने this is something that we always talk about. इस IPL के
हाँ,
पहले भी बोला था कि I mean maybe see, this never happens. There are certain players you know that Indian setup में they will fit only at a particular spot, which
yeah,
is for Samson, even for ODIs. He should have been eyeing for that number 6 spot, and same goes for T20. But he does not bat at 6 for Rajasthan Royals, and
हाँ,
it'll actually make a lot of sense for them to have. How can I forget his name? Riyan Parag at Sanju Samson's spot at 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and have
yeah.
Sanju bat at 6, and sort of boost his India chances as well. But I think uh,
That ship is
IPL,
safe.
IPL teams have and franchises have shown this enough that they shouldn't, they are not bound to, and they actually don't care about the bigger
Yeah,
picture about the Indian cricket. It's just it's अगर वो ऐसा बोलते भी हैं तो they are just fooling us. I mean, in dead rubber, if you're gonna grind Jasprit Bumrah to dirt
yeah,
in a cycle where there is a World Cup, in a cycle where he's injury prone, then we can. And a franchise like Mumbai Indians, right, who carry this image around that they want to do big things for Indian sport. तो अगर वो ऐसा कर रहे हैं तो फिर बाकियों से क्या उम्मीद करेंगे यार?
yeah. And I think this is why I said, okay, that is the one spot where I think Jitesh takes off over Samson. That if he's batting at 6, maybe Sanju's bet position won't be that. And Jitesh in the past has shown us enough evidence where he can come in and start going. So as Home said, very keen to see if the roles that the two people play, and maybe that would be the call. Because I think Kishan ko to it's really difficult to fit Kishan because if the issues with his spin also remain, then it will not be easy to fit him in.
Fair point that hello Jagmeet. Sanjay, in fact, he has a very interesting point to make. He says he'll start with Jitesh, but he'll look to include Pant as a backup. Do you see Pant being fit enough for the next World Cup? Let alone
Pant
the
है तो
IPL
फिर
or
doubt
something
ही
like
नहीं
that.
है.
उसकी रिपोर्ट चाहिए पहले तो यार, अभी से कैसे बोलते हैं? हाँ, of course, if he's around
है
and
तो doubt ही नहीं.
he has to play the IPL. If he doesn't play the
Yeah.
IPL, you cannot take him to the World Cup. No chance.
Yeah. And just for the record, it has started to rain, so that is why there is a delay.
Thank you, Aritra. So right now the score as it stands in the Asian Games finals is that Afghanistan is 86 for 5, 2 balls short of the 15th over. 130 बनेगा क्या यहाँ पे?
Should we do the badminton watch along, guys? I mean, gold medal match. By the
Kabaddi
way,
finals का क्या होगा? Let's just switch.
I think India were trailing the last I saw. By the way, Satvik and Chirag, they are the
Yeah.
third Indians to. They basically will become world number 1 when the rankings are updated next week. They'll be third Indians to be there after Srikanth and Saina to be world number 1s. And have a
Yep.
chance at a potential
That's
gold
true.
medal here. So good for them.
Interesting. And India in the meantime is also trailing Iran. 9-12 is the score.
But I think it's
Kabaddi
14-12 Sanjay.
हाँ.
Oh, stand corrected once again. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna move out so that I can change my stream. I'll log back in 60 seconds.
Sure.
Yep, no worries. तो निखिल भाई, अभी फिलहाल तुम यहाँ पे बारिश हो रहा है. What's happening with Pakistan, Bangladesh though? I stand corrected once again. It's not Pakistan, Bangladesh. It's Afghanistan, Bangladesh. Too many games going on right now. There, what's the second game though today?
Oh, the rain is stopped. जो भी था, जैसा भी है, we are back. Maybe the fielder only was injured, and we are starting with Sai Kishore again bowling back to Naib.
Oh wow, bowling भी शुरू हो गया.
Yeah, yeah.
क्या
But
बारिश
yeah,
है.
it is. I don't think it was rain at all.
All
पागल
right.
बना दिया आपने.
But what do you make of Afghanistan, Bangladesh that's going on in the meantime? Let's just talk a bit about that as well. Afghanistan won 45 for 6 at the end of the 33rd over. Shakib is doing Shakib things with another 3 for. He's also gone past Dan Vettori in terms of most wickets taken. In the World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's weird because you know the way Gurbaz and Ibrahim started, you felt that yeah, this looks like a good wicket, but I think it's I don't know slightly too paced. Again, the sandy outfield is not helped, and a lot of people have commented about that outfield also being very Sandy, but it's been just relayed, so I'm sure it'll take some time. But 145 for six. If you look at those wickets as well, again we discussed this in the preview. Okay, they need Rahmat and Shahidi to pull up the bat, to pull up the socks. There
Yeah.
is no way that Afghanistan can get big scores if their number three and number four in that way are continuously underperforming. And you look at the strike rate that Shahidi had. You're not inspiring any confidence of any sorts by batting at 47. मतलब you're getting
True.
stuck at one end and see बांग्लादेश का काम है जगह पे रह के अटैक करना. Shakib is good enough. The ball that Shakib bowled to Ibrahim also was great. He kept hitting the right spot and figured that okay, maybe now is the time he'll probably go, and then he just changed a bit around and got him to top his the sweep. So it's just a lot of quality there. But वही है यार अफगानिस्तान के साथ we've time and again said that they show glimpses, but closing the game out is where there has been
Yeah.
problem. So
Yeah, in
let's
fact,
see how that works out.
true. Something we spoke about during the mega preview as well. Afghanistan, they
Yeah,
had multiple opportunities in the last World Cup as well to, chalk up their second victory in World Cups. If I'm not wrong, they already have one. The one in 2015
yeah,
against Scotland.
Scotland.
Yep.
Yep.
So let's see what's in store for them because they do play the likes of Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Netherlands, against whom they can. I mean, they might not start favorites, but they still stand a
Yeah,
decent shot at winning.
decent chance.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
But how impressed were you with the Netherlands bowling yesterday? I know you must have spoken it about. You must have spoken about it in the review as well. But just a thing or two on Basilida in terms of how he's improved on his bowling as well.
Yeah, okay, sorry. There was an appeal. They didn't give it out. Okay, LBW to Bishnoi.
All right.
I think Netherlands were good in patches. Uh, I was slightly disappointed with the usage. Again, it could just be me. I felt they were too fixated with wanting to use spin at the end, and to allow team to go from 180 for six to 282 with Shadab Nawaz and Haris Saraf also scoring runs towards the end. I think it was slightly disappointing. Uh, uh, See, they had control for the major part of the game, but there were enough boundary balls being bowled to everybody from Rizwan, Shakil,
Yeah.
Shadab, and Nawaz. And those margin of error, because even with Bazili, he went for 62 odd. That
True.
is probably a bit too high. You can understand that he's maybe going for wickets, but he was getting the ball to reverse. And they did not use the other paces at all for the end. They just stuck with Colin Ackerman and Ulaf
True.
Andamova, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's a thing that did not work out. I just hope, I don't know, maybe they could have gone for more runs, but I think they would have had a better chance of creating a false shot. Because Shadab and Nawaz and even Haris Rauf, they looked at ease
Yeah.
versus spin. So, and even they were 120 for 2, even in the chase. And वहाँ पे also, if you see Vikramjit Singh slow down again, आपको एंकर करना है तो करो, but we have spoken time and again कि it is very difficult to get the pace right. So you have to keep accelerating at all point of time so that you're not leaving your side behind. And the moment he got out, he got to 50, he got out immediately. That's the worst possible time to get out. Because
True.
then
True.
you have two new people and then Roth came on and just closed the game out completely. So, but still, I'm very happy that it wasn't a case of Netherlands not showing up at all. Like England did not show up in the ball with the ball. I think Netherlands did a lot of things right. Now it was just about doing them better in the next game so that they are in a better position. Aage.
Fair, all right. Fingers crossed. Let Netherlands. I'm genuinely hoping Netherlands eke out a win or two this World Cup. Let's hope that does happen.
Oh,
Digressions apart, coming back to the game, Chuchant, he says, accepted, guys. Ravi Bishnoi would be a much better bat plus bowl plus field alternative to Akshar. It was never Ashwin. On this point, today so far, off spinners or non-wrist spinners, so to say, finger spinners have gone for 65 runs in their 9 overs. Ravi Bishnoi, on the other hand, just 9 runs in his 4 over spell. 2 balls to go in his spell, sure, but a fantastic, fantastic spell. What do you think of that? Because yesterday we saw the likes of Washi, Shabaz, and Saikeshwar also be amongst the wickets, and not just that, they were also excellent containing options. That's not been the case today. What do you make of that? Because 65 runs in 9 overs is more than decent. Like Afghanistan would have taken it with both hands before the toss.
yeah, and again, it just also tells you the quality, right? That the two premier spinners that you have in Sai and Ravi, they both are going at an economy of less than 5. Bishnoi completed his quota for just 12 runs. And it is not something that you did not know with Chabas as well, you at times see him dropping shot, and that's what got him those runs as well. The batters. So we discussed this just at the start as well. Okay, it was a spin that was going to decide how easy or hard it gets for Afghanistan. So I think two of them did well, two did not, and which is why they have the score that they have. They're already 90 with 3 overs to go. You have Arshdeep to bowl 2 overs after this one. So uh, very keen to see who bowls the last, whether it is Sundar.
Exactly. If they go to a
Uh,
spinner, or do they go to Dube potentially? That could potentially be the over that
yeah,
Afghanistan looks to target, for that matter, to get
and you
some
have
of those
first
extra
six.
runs.
You have first
All
six from Gulbuddin
right,
Naik. So this
let's.
definitely looks a 130 score. And again, this is what Gulbuddin did last night in the last game as well. That just pick your battles and it's too experienced and any which ways to really let that opportunity go by.
True. But coming back to the game itself, I mean, the Indian World Cup sort of contingent itself. Chuchan says, I mean, he was responding to Sanjay, who said that, probably Ravi Bishnoi cannot be given or handed a debut in the World Cup, so it makes no sense to directly take him to the World Cup. To which he says, some good teams are going to tear Ashwin apart, especially in big games. What do you make of that? And remember, I'm in Chennai right now, huh?
Yeah, देखो, firstly it depends on what you mean by tearing apart. And अगर spin deck पे अश्विन को tear apart किया है तो भाई there is nothing anybody can do about it. हाँ, अगर flat deck है और वहाँ पे if you played Ashwin and he's going for runs, then it's your problem. You can't really do that as well. So firstly, I'm expecting that to not happen, basics to be controlled. And see, Bishnoi will get his chances, but there was no way he was making it to the 50-over squad. So Ashwin, you have to remember, is backup. So you are going two steps back to get to Ashwin. So and again, you had tried Sundar in the past. Or again, Wapis, if you didn't have the off spinner, Suchan would only come back and say that the team did not even pick a single off spinner. So वो भी चलो ठीक है. We can by that point, but I expect Ash to do well. I don't expect him to play all games. So limited games, specific plans should do the job. Yeah, and we have Somesh
All
back.
right. Yeah, Somesh bhai, you can hear us, and we cannot hear you. Unfortunately, you are on mute. If you could.
No, he's
Yeah, can you
not
hear
on
me
mute, but
now?
yes, we
Yes,
can.
yes.
Yeah, actually I had to move to a place जहाँ मैं भी टीवी पे देखूं ताकि तुम लोग मेरे को स्पॉइलर ना दो. So
अरे
yeah,
हम तो देख ही नहीं रहे, अभी हम सीधा cricket.com पे देख रहे हैं बस scores.
क्या बात है. No, that's the second best place that you can be.
Exactly.
Yep.
But so Nikhil bhai and I, we were just having this chat about how off spinners today, finger spinners today, have gone for 65 runs in their 3 overs, and now if I include this over from Sai Kishore, he's gone for 9 runs. So that makes it 74 in the 10 overs of finger spin we've seen today. On the other hand, Ravi Bishnoi went for just 12 runs in his 4 overs. It goes on to show the kind of impact Ravi Bishnoi has had and how good a bowler he is, which is something no one's doubted. B, it also goes on to show that maybe wrist spin was the way to go from the beginning, and they could have probably looked to bowl him a bit earlier. What do you make of that? Like, is there something to look into? Because Nikhil Bhai did give his opinion. He felt that Shabazz did bowl a bit short, and he has that tendency to do so. But Washi himself also went for runs, despite being known for being consistent and accurate with his lengths. Sai Kishore himself went for a couple of sixes, or was that his first six? I'm not sure. That probably was his first six. He went for a boundary earlier. So yeah, what do you make of that, Somesh?
It always happens, right? मतलब wrist team quality wrist spin and quality short bowling. This is something that if there is a weakness to be exploited among teams who don't play uh, at this level, it will always be exposed. Like you saw with Netherlands yesterday. I mean, most of their important wickets came through short balls, and bache koche wicket Shadab le gaya. So it always happens. I mean, not a surprise here. And Bishnoi is like, yeah. I mean, this is, to be honest, this is one level below for Bishnoi. He is already ready for a level above.
All right. Chuchan goes on to say, at next, difficult part is when Ash does very well on turning tracks, and then everyone expects him to play well in the World Cup knockouts, which will be played on a bit on flatter tracks. So Somesh bhai, just to set some context, Tuchant here feels that Ravi Bishnoi should have been a part of the World Cup squad, and Ashwin will be thrashed by batters or by batting units in the World Cup. His words, not mine. Again, I am in Chennai. Have to just remind you that. So, what do you think of that? Do you agree? Is there any merit to what he's saying right now?
यार ये बोल नहीं सकते. See, we need to go back and understand the reason because of which Ashwin is selected. India wanted someone who can bat at 8 as well. At least can create an illusion of there being a handy batter at 8. And this is where I think Ravi Bishnoi was never in contention. And again, we are mixing formats. We're assuming that Ravi Bishnoi would have succeeded in ODI formats. I don't even recall him watching in ODI games. If at all he would have played, would have been a handful, maybe 5 ODIs max. So, I mean, taking a player with just experience of 5 ODIs over someone like Ashwin is, I mean, I don't know if it's warranted. Over the years, Ashwin has surprised all of us. Nikhil has said that he expects Ashwin to play a few games. I actually expect Ashwin to play more games than Shardul Thakur. So let's see. And semis and वहाँ पर जो होगा वहाँ तब देखते हैं. India have enough options. The point is, given कि Ashwin को लिया है, doesn't mean कि you have to rely on him picking 5 fours in every game, right? I mean, he has a role to play. He's essentially one of your 6 bowlers. So if, let's be honest here, in terms of scheduling, the venues where we have the semi-finals are the 2 least favorable venues for India. India would have wanted to play their semi-finals rather at Chennai or any other place rather than playing it at Mumbai or Kolkata, where dew can have a lot more effect and toss becomes very important. Having said that, so I mean, सबको पता ही है, and this is where you'll have to plan. Maybe on those days, other bowlers will have to chip in, and then Ashwin comes back as a very important bowler in the final if India reach there and are bowling first. So, I mean, you have to pick the roles.
Fair. So Chachan says, dude, I was just using the can word. I'm just saying there were better options from prior experience. Ashwin hasn't done well in knockouts. That's a problem. All right, Chachan.
Who has? I mean, which Indian cricketer in the past 10 years has done well in knockouts? No one. Absolutely no one. Except maybe Hardik Pandya.
I'm just trying to think. Dhoni, I mean, in the current squad, yeah, hardly anyone's played enough knockout games, to be honest.
धोनी बोला तू?
Current squad. धोनी नहीं बोला.
फिर भी अच्छा चल current squad से हटा दे. धोनी ने last 10 years में कौन सा knockout में अच्छा किया है भाई? थोड़ा बताएगा मुझे?
मैं नहीं बोला. मैं बोलने ही वाला नहीं था. पता नहीं क्या बोला.
ये वो मैं बोला, वो बोला, मैं बोला कि वो बोला.
But yeah, coming back to the game again, unfortunately, it's not really been the kind of entertaining T20 game that we've come to see. I mean, entertaining T20s that we've come to see, in the IPL and the likes. In fact, even the first game, based on what I saw, I thought, this could potentially be a high-scoring encounter. Maybe Gulbadin Naib, Kareem Jannat, Mohammad Shahzad even won some of their experience.
Bhai, Gulbadin is making this game on. He just hit a 6.
Chalo, bhai. That's a 6 from Gulbadin of who? Arshdeep or?
Arshdeep.
Yeah.
Low full toss.
Nikhil, I actually want to talk to you about Arshdeep, and this is something that I was it Hardik in the team or Anirudh? I am forgetting someone I was discussing this with. It was Anirudh maybe. Anirudh Kasarudar, statsman, yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's just like, it's as of now, it seemed like a story which hasn't really panned out the way it should have been, right? Even against the game in Nepal, even in the game against Nepal, he went for a lot of runs, and these are sort of games where you want Arshdeep to be if he's your pace spearhead, you'd want him to deliver.
See, I think with Arshdeep, the problem is after that rise or the next step, I think he's still not sure of the stock ball. Now, I don't know how true it is or how wrong it is. We could have some numbers even from Anirudh if he can, that what is the percentage of balls that he bowls, and if there is something that is relying on more as compared to others. Because at this point of time, I think it's a bit of everything. And maybe there isn't a set plan that, okay, this is number 1, this is number 2. At this point in time, it feels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's try all. And then again, I could be completely off the mark, but you don't see that potency at times, which you normally associate with Arshdeep, at least in the end. I think शुरू में तो doubt ही नहीं है. There is still movement for him. He's bowling those lengths. But the execution part is something that I'm really surprised by. कि you don't expect that to happen. But ठीक है, I think they've gone to Shahbaz Ahmed to bowl the 19th over, which is very, very interesting. And he started with a wide.
Yeah, especially given that he's been their most expensive bowler today, 25 runs in his 3 overs. Very interesting choice that is. Has the ball been turning enough since I haven't been able to watch the game for the last 4-5 odd overs? Has he been able to turn the ball enough in like Sai Kishore and Shahbaz in the last 5-6 overs?
I don't think he's bowled in those areas to be able to see that ball turn. He's been जो पहला ball था अभी, that was very flat and wide. Now it is slightly short on the leg stump, tucked away for a single. So nothing much to read there.
I mean, so 2 points here regarding Shehbaz bowling this over. I think कोई option था नहीं because either him or Sundar. But given there are two righties batting,
You're forgetting a certain pace bowling
I know,
sensation,
but this is where this is the more elaborative point that I wanted to make. What Nikhil was discussing, right? कि भाई you have to pick your options when you are trying to bowl Dube, and maybe 19th over in this situation with two set batters is maybe not a prudent move, and this is where I actually agree with the captain's call that Dube here would have been a riskier option than Shahbaz. Going to the point that Nikhil was talking about Arshdeep earlier, which is a very, very important point, because, and I think Avnish will remember this because we have discussed this time and time again, that Arshdeep's biggest weapon when he started off was his ability to bowl 6 different balls in an over. But now that is becoming his boon because उसको भी पता नहीं है कि उसकी go to ball क्या है. And at times, so this is a very good discussion that Mitchell Johnson had with Shane Watson in the the podcast that Shane Watson did during the COVID era. That Mitchell Johnson, in their head, they always had a plan कि भाई उस समय वो सोचना नहीं पड़े कि क्या बॉल डालनी है. Their muscle memory was always they developed their muscle memory so much कि particular situation में they knew कि this is my go-to ball, and probably that is something that Arshdeep is missing right now. कि a ball that he feels comfortable with कि भाई pressure situation में ये मेरी go-to ball है.
सर म्यूट पे हो.
नहीं अब तक वो थोड़ा यहाँ पे unfortunately it's still an operational hassle here. Avnish has still not been able to arrange a room, or so I heard. But yeah, it's fine. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be a part of the conversation there. Let me just take Satwik's comment though, just to be clear. Satwik says, guys, do you think the management can make someone like Umran Malik actually achieve his potential? Seems too erratic with his lines at the moment, and so can't get even in India's B team at the moment. What do you make of that? Like Umran Malik.
I'll let Nikhil answer this question, but meanwhile, I'll just give an update. Given the name Satwik has been brought up, Satwik Chirag are 18-18 in the first set. They were trailing 18-15, but they've managed to bring it back to 18-18. They are favorites to win this game. They were not so much of a favorites to win that semi-final, but they still went on to win it. Let's see.
Yep, and also an update on Kabaddi. India is right now leading 24-19 against Iran, and Surjit Singh has gotten a green card for some reason. But yeah, that's the update on that. And Nikhil Bhai now coming to cricket.
Coming to cricket, and let's take Satwik's comment.
Yeah, I think that is what you at times get with pace, right? कि pace है तो control थोड़ा लगेगा आपको. And again with Umran, I'm hoping that teams and managements at both SRH and the Indian camp, they'll be able to figure out a plan that okay, like with Arshdeep, if one thing is not working, do you have a set backup plan to your option of pace? Sometimes I felt that Umran has been unnecessarily too full, which is if you go back to the Gaikwad innings that he played, where he was able to loft or hit him on the up as well. जब इतना pace है तो फिर full डाल रहे हो तो it is coming onto the bat. But if it's short, and even if you're expecting it, there is still a hint of chance that the ball could misbehave from the deck. So I think that is something that I feel Umran will have to work out. Ke pace hai, so the erratic point is there, and there is time for him to learn. But what I want to also see from him is backup options in case this is not working. दिस इज माई सेकेंड बेस्ट ऑप्शन, लाइक वी डिस्कस विद कुलदीप, कि अगर नहीं चल रहा है, find a way to get out of the over well without getting hit for more runs. So that is a key aspect of playing limited overs format, के अगर पहले 3 बॉल में 2 चौके पड़ गए हैं, you have to get dot balls or single doubles and just get out of that over very very. So that is something that I'm expecting Umran to get better at. Baki, hopefully the two managements will also take care of that. And as I speak, Afghanistan are 156 all out.
All out.
And
Jeez,
for
156
all the
all out.
talks,
Wow.
for all the talks about pace to do the job, Mehdi Hassan has taken 3, and of
Shakib
course
has taken
Sarful
3.
is Rakib has taken 3. So
Yep.
Afghanistan doing Afghanistan things.
Yep. And also here in Hangzhou, apparently there's a change of balls.
Ball, yeah.
And yeah, I'm not sure so much bhai
Sa-
khush
Sa-
kiske
Sa-
liye.
Sa- Satvik Chirag have taken the first game, so they're leading 1-0 now.
Shabash.
Right, that's nice. That's nice. But yeah, a pause, a slight delay in action right now in cricketing action. Sorry, in cricketing action in
A
Hangzhou
very,
right now.
very, a very, very haphazard day. As you
Just
can
bizarre.
see,
Yeah.
matlab,
सच्ची में
somehow we are trying to put a show together, and I can only assume that people who are not bored of us would be there watching, because it's like so
Kudos.
many things happening. But yeah, I mean,
unfortunately,
that's
yeah.
why we're seeing familiar names: Sanjay, Chuchant,
Uh,
all the loyalists, so to speak. अभी हम में
Yes.
से कोई
yeah.
इलेक्शन में खड़ा हो जाएगा तो आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग संजय सुशांत वोट भी हमें दे ही देंगे.
हाँ तो 4-5 वोट यहाँ पे सोमेश भाई फिक्स
Okay,
कर
it
रहे
is
हैं.
नहीं
raining
मेरे
now. Wow.
Okay.
This is
Oh yeah,
proper
live
rain.
pictures
Covers
have
on
come
the
back.
field.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
raining here, and end of innings there, we have to do the badminton watch along, guys. I mean, what do you guys prefer more, badminton या फिर kabaddi?
Kabaddi, I feel, because Iran have just now enforced an all-out on India and have managed to tie the scoreline. So it's 25 apiece, India and Iran. And yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Just 10 more minutes to go. It's going to be very interesting. I'm not sure if we should do a Kabaddi watch along. तो कर सकते हैं हमें कुछ like Kabaddi
Yeah,
में हम
हाँ,
देख
कोई
सकते हैं.
वांधा नहीं.
Oh, India
Yes.
back in lead.
Oh, all right, they've taken a point. I'm sorry if I'm a bit behind, if I'm lacking a bit, because unfortunately यहाँ पे देखने के लिए कुछ ज़्यादा options है नहीं. But yeah, good to see India back in the lead again. But a 1-point lead with 10 minutes to go. I'm not sure if that's the kind of lead we're looking at. So yeah, let's hope. More good things in store in terms of in terms of the medals they win. But yeah, Afghanistan game 112, 18.2. अगर ये आखिरी के 10 बॉल नहीं होते और अदर होते, आई एम अज्यूमिंग 130 तक मुश्किल से कैसे भी करके पहुंच सकते हैं. 18 more runs of the last 10 balls. 131 India's game to lose. Nikhil bhai, you can go first.
See, it could get tricky, but I think all will depend on the power play. If they find a way to access power play with Jaiswal taking off, so I don't think they'll mind that total. So power play then becomes very very crucial for them. Otherwise, you'll hope that India's deep battle lineup should still take care of it. But they have enough handy bowling options, as we've spoken in the past. Zahid hai, Kais Ahmed hai. So you wouldn't want it to get needlessly close. तो अच्छा गेम रहेगा तो वॉच अलॉन्ग करने का भी मजा आएगा, बट इतना भी अच्छा नहीं चाहिए कि गोल चला जाए.
वेरी फाइन लाइन. मतलब मैच अच्छा भी चाहिए लेकिन गोल्ड भी चाहिए, तो क्या करें, कॉम्प्रोमाइज तो करना पड़ेगा अपने को. बट स्पीकिंग ऑफ कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस, I mean, let's just take this question while we are at it. Chachant asks us, guys, what's the reason for the pathetically low audience, is how he's put it, in the ODI World Cup? Somesh bhai, you can probably take this up first. क्या लगता है?
अरे मैं तो ऑलरेडी इस पे बहुत ज्यादा रैंट कर चुका हूँ भाई.
अच्छा, तो एक और बार
देखो,
चचांत भाई के लिए.
एक और बार कर देता हूँ. देखो यार, इंग्लैंड में जब वर्ल्ड कप हुआ था तो स्केड्यूल एक साल पहले आउट था, टिकट्स भी एक साल पहले से स्टार्ट हो गए थे. वी आर इन अ सिचुएशन वेयर you're distributing tickets in a very weirdly phased manner. जिस दिन tickets on हुए उस दिन सारे नहीं out हुए. Game day पे तुम इतने पूरे टाइम पर you're showing that tickets are sold out, and on game day if you log on to the website you are seeing tickets are available. I mean, shambles, right? Absolute shambles. Plus scheduling is an issue. You cannot have marquee games in a stadium where you are trying to force fit international cricket craze. I mean, sorry to say this, but Ahmedabad is not your traditional cricket venue where people will want to watch neutral teams. I can very well understand Ahmedabad getting India Pakistan game. Maybe they could have given Ahmedabad one more India game, but giving it a World Cup opener, not featuring India, and I think there is one more Australia game there. I think Australia New Zealand, if I'm not
Australia,
mistaken.
England. It's the Ashes
Australia,
rivalry. It's
England.
India.
Imagine. I mean, both sort of journalists
सारे
would be
बड़े
there,
games
and
हैं.
audience would
Yeah.
be traveling. You're force fitting demand. Uh, a game. I mean, that game at maybe Wankhede, Chinnaswamy, Chepauk would have been, filled to the brim. Uh, Also, Ahmedabad gives you an illusion of emptiness, because in a 1.3 lakh capacity stadium, even if 50% is filled, it's still 50,000 odd people, which will fill most stadiums in the world. That's there. Plus, there is no shade, so people have no real incentive to come and watch the game in the heat of the afternoon. So too many factors, yeah, not just one. I mean, I don't even want to talk about the actual facilities, the trouble that fans have to go through to reach stadiums, then the kind of cleanliness they find on seats. I've been to stadiums where even you have to control your bladder, because you can't even go and take a leak because the bathrooms are overflowing. And of course, don't let me get started on the food, because if you are someone who wants to stick to a diet, it's impossible. You have no other option than to eat junk all day, and a junk which is extremely overpriced.
No, true. I mean, not the greatest of facilities, so to say, in India, and this has been a long-standing, debate, so to say, where most fans, if not all, have been complaining about the failing infrastructure in terms of whatever facilities was offered to them, and despite BCCI paying lip service by saying fans are our biggest stakeholders and all of that jazz. It's never really sort of translated to anything consequential. We are yet to still come across. I mean, again, I might be jumping the gun here. People do say the Ahmedabad stadium is very good. The facilities are really good, although pictures might say otherwise. But India, I'm yet to come across a stadium that's really, really, really world class, where I can go without being worried. I have to control my bladder. I don't know what I'll get to eat, or I won't get shade. अगर बारिश होता है तो छुपने के लिए मतलब I don't have to think of all of this. Very, very, very few venues. In fact, I don't know. Is there any such venue in India that you would say is on par with international stadiums outside India? Nikhil bhai, you can probably go first. Like, what do you make of that?
See, I think the bottom or the crux of it is there is no effort to make this a culture of putting fans first and giving them a good experience. Once you do that, if a guy is coming off from a stadium visit, the guy itself will ensure that 50 more people are knowing that how great a day he or she had, and why it will just be the single biggest motivator for everybody else to go and flock the stadiums. The problem is that rarely happens with us. Okay, you stand in the heat, you get the system, and it's not that you can't do. The problem is there isn't enough intent in the first place to keep them in the first place, to have it going like a structure. Okay, food is taken care of, water is taken care of, shade is taken care of. These are the things that are allowed. These are the things that are not allowed, and you are still not worried about these things. कि अच्छा बारिश हो गई तो मेरा टिकट गीला हो जाएगा तो you need the physical ticket next day. What on earth is that? You are in 2023. There is no need for such a thing to even exist in the first place. So I think all of this, I wouldn't know why is it not a controllable. I think it is controllable, but there has to be an effort to make it a culture कि अगर आपको अहमदाबाद को भी देना है ना, market it well, get it to the people that this is why you should go and watch. Because honestly, weekday pay, even the best of the cricket fans are not going to go and flock to the stadium in that heat. So for them to have that motivation, it has to come from having an unforgettable stadium experience. तो जब तक वो नहीं होता तब तक, एंड आई थिंक फॉर स्टेडियम वाचिंग वर्ड ऑफ माउथ इज द बिगेस्ट वे टू गो अबाउट इट. तुम्हारा मार्केटिंग वर्ड ऑफ माउथ करेगा. तो फैंस को बीच में रख के प्लान्स बनाओ, थिंग्स विल वर्क आउट बेटर.
True.
Yeah,
In
I
fact,
mean,
I remember
it's
going to stadiums in India with just my phone a few years back. I don't know how have we sort of gone back in terms of evolution. Like, why have we gone back to
Yeah.
physical tickets? It's very unfortunate. Let's just take a few more comments. Sanjay, Paras,
जो
Chachant,
जो
Babar
निखिल ने बोला ना कि
Azam.
I think it's time to move from mouth of words to word of mouth.
Interesting wordplay there. But then Sanjay asks us one question. BCCI is saying that they're going to provide free mineral water. Are they going to provide water packets? Otherwise, why to even restrict people from carrying bottles? So one more thing, not to defend BCCI or anything. I mean, we Indian fans, we haven't done ourselves any good by behaving the way we have in the past. So let's be
Yeah.
honest. It's not like we are the most well-behaved fans out there. I'll be the first one to admit. I've seen way too much unruly behavior happen in Indian stadiums, be it heckling the players, be it anything for that matter, just randomly crowding in areas and pockets and all of that. So then how do you then sort of traverse
You
this
know,
line? How do you go
you know,
about this?
why am I laughing? Because that दो रुपए की Pepsi slogan started from Indore, and it's like I'm a little ashamed कि भाई
So you're
क्यों कर
taking
रहे हो?
credit.
क्रेडिट
Badge of
लेने का
honor
क्या
है
है
क्या?
उसमें?
See, that's what I said. The fan culture जो है ना इंडिया में, it is very delusional. That there are many experiences where you'll have that not just with players, even with normal people. Sometimes we love to take the Mickey out of people and thinking it's cool. It is not. You are not coming off as someone who's अरे क्या joke मारा अरे भाई नहीं joke मारा. You're taking a dig at people is not. See, there are lines that you need to know, and with us, it's always blurry. We always feel that we have the liberty to call anyone anything, even though we don't have or have no clue about what the person is. So I think it reflects in many things that we do in terms of, as you said, heckling ho gaya, throwing bottles. We've had occasions of people throwing shoes, onto the. It's not something that's telling you that why you should be here. I mean, it is sorry that you have to have a cage of sorts in stadiums so that people don't throw things. And again, it is why so many things are not allowed. So of course, we don't help ourselves as well by our behavior, but all of it comes down to how we behave as fans. That sometimes we just feel that we own everything. Okay,
Yeah.
because I have paid for this, I have a right to opinion. You have a right. You have every right to criticize, but be constructive. And again, destroying public property and all of that is something that just feels ठीक है अरे नहीं ठीक है यार I mean तुम मेरा गुस्सा उस पे क्यों निकाल रहे हो
I
so
yeah, no,
नहीं नहीं go
I
on
get.
sorry.
No, I would really. I'm interested in taking this Chuchan's comment
Yeah,
because
I
now
was going to, but just
this
before
has
that,
this
yeah,
has stirred something inside me. Yeah, but yeah, Akshay. Before
just
that,
one
what?
point. Yeah, just to close on Nikhil's point, at the risk of sort of sounding anti-national or something, Indians and entitlement just goes hand in hand. Irrespective of what it is, Indians always feel entitled, and I don't think I've seen this outside. I completely agree with Nikhil that we just. No, I want to believe I wouldn't be a part of it, but in general, I've seen a lot of people just feel that they own it, irrespective. Service दिया है तो भाई मैं बाप हूँ. You have to take care of me. That's it. Come what may, whatever I do, whatever I expect, everything needs to be taken care of. I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, going to Chachan's point, he says, dude, in EPL and other football leagues, fan behavior is way worse than Indians. But as an organizer, they have to make sure fans deserve the best. Fans get the best of facilities. So, Somesh bhai, what did you want to say to this first?
देखो, let's take this one step outside. Okay, let's talk about what happens when there is a law and order situation in the country. All of us know that our country has a governance issue. कुछ होता है तो they put those dharas where people are not allowed to walk out in the night. If something happens, we don't have the wherewithal to actually find the perpetrators and put them to quick justice. Rather than that, the mindset is always, अरे तुम रात में बाहर मत निकलो, तुम अकेले बाहर मत निकलो. It's not about ensuring कि तुम्हारा system ऐसा हो कि people don't find it easy to break rules. Taking this to the stadium, do we have a system in place where we actually are able to identify people who are doing these unruly behavior and sort of banning them from coming into stadiums forever, which is something that happens in football and even cricket in other countries as well. If they find some fans who are using racist slurs, they are banned for life. But do we have the wherewithal, the system in place to ensure that? अगर वो नहीं होगा तो ultimately what you will always go down the easier route that just because of the 5 to 10% people who are not willing to be sane enough or human enough, you have to put the other 90% in the same bucket so as to don't you know spoil the quality of the spectacle. वो हो गई, and so we need to question the system there कि भाई where we need to have that better governance, better wherewithal to deal with lunatics who are uh, making fans like other people, other fans, proper fans look like idiots.
Fair point. That and before we even before we sort of go further, I just wanted to take Sunny's comment. He says, "Hey, I'm going to the India-Australia game tomorrow. Congrats, Sunny. I mean, you've gotten tickets. Nothing like it. We'll also be there in front of the stadium, so just keep an eye out for us as well. You can be a part of our fan cams. It'll be great to meet you and great to meet someone in person who would recognize Avnish because he's been looking for someone in Ahmedabad. He came very close. Unfortunately, it didn't materialize. But yeah, so please do sort of hop on and say hi to one of our fan cam videos. It'll be great. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, just going back to that conversation we were having in terms of facilities. How do you improve the existing facilities? It's one thing, okay, maybe going forward when we build new stadiums, yeah, sure, you can build them a certain way, you can take care of the infra and all of that. What about the existing stadiums? How do you take care of that now? Because they're pretty much dilapidated to say the least. कुछ है नहीं वहाँ पे. Are you saying demolish करके just begin everything from scratch? BCCI does have the money to do that, but they just won't. So then, what is the option? How do you sort of renovate or improve upon what's already there right now? Nikhil, bhai, you can go first.
So I think they'll have to pick something to start with. Maybe it's the big city centers that you want to start with, and you get that in order, and then you go by how the preference of yours in terms of, as I said, the culture bit about watching culture. जैसे अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया में सीरीज है, so there are 4 to 5 टेस्ट venues which we know कि मैच यहीं पे होता है. So that is what I want them to start with. Okay, designate test venues, ODI venues, T20 venues, and then rotate. No problem. I'm not saying कि तुम आंकड़े को T20 मत दो, but at least have an order in place, and then start in that sense कि okay, let's get these 5 sorted. 5 दिन आना यहाँ पे. What all do you need? You start with that. At least it's a start. Okay, this is taken care of. Then you go to the next set. Then you go to the next set. See, I think all of this is doable. In terms of, it's not, you don't have to start from the scratch. When it was being planned, I'm sure you knew what is to be done. There are some things that you opted for against, so you just have to go for and not against now. So again, food, water, all of these are basic necessities, and these can be resolved in the existing setup as well by some changes here and there, which I'm sure every stadium across the world does it for their benefit. So I don't even know the reason for it not being done already. So just start with your venues, key venues, and then go a step down, step down, step down, so that at least you have 15 to 20 venues in the country where people are happy to go with without having any fear.
In fact, I just go a step further to what Nikhil said and say once you've designated those venues, just stick to it. I'm fine if Chinnaswamy doesn't get a T20 game if they've been told that they'll be a dedicated test venue. If they're going to do this, maybe set it up in such a way. Look at proximity. For example, Maharashtra has 2 stadiums. Mumbai could be a test venue. Pune could be a T20 venue. That way, fans will have access to both the formats. There are ways of doing this. If BCCI decides to put their might behind it, it's not like BCCI cannot pull it off. दुनिया भर का पैसा है उनके पास. The fact that they're still so reluctant to do this is what is more appalling. But again, infrastructure, it's a chat that we've had way too many times. We've discussed this. We always talk about solutions, but yeah, it never really sort of materializes to something actual. So Somesh bhai, what do you think? Like, do you see there there being any merit in sort of coming up with newer venues or something like that? Because Sanjay, for example, says there are 50 plus stadiums and most of them hardly get any games. So there's no incentive to improve them as well. He's not entirely wrong, right? What do you make of it?
नहीं, that's true, but then ये 50 plus stadiums पे बात आई कैसे? Because you want to distribute, you want to ensure that there are some games everywhere, but everything is done in a haphazard manner. किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि which venue is what. Like for example, sometimes, I mean, the scheduling is so, it lacks common sense so much. If you look at the games against England in February, there are two games, one in Hyderabad and other game is in Vishakhapatnam, two tests. So I mean, in such a marquee test series, why would you keep two venues which are so close to each other, where you can actually spread it across throughout the country? You've not given any test match to Mumbai. You've not given any test match to Chinnaswamy. I mean, why would you do that? And that it is bereft of logic. You can say कि हाँ भाई, because these venues are given a lot of World Cup games.
True. I
थोड़ा
mean,
सोच लेते maybe. I don't know. I mean, uh, probably they could have given one of one of the India games to Hyderabad, and maybe given the semi-final to Bangalore, something like that, so that जिससे कि बाद में when you're distributing test venues, you don't have to come back and say कि, oh, they did not get a World Cup India World Cup game, so now we have to give them tests. I understand you have to give Hyderabad a test, but then why do you have to give it to Vishakhapatnam so close to Hyderabad?
exactly.
It's bereft of logic.
And to be honest, from what little I experienced and seen firsthand, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, these are the only three venues that come to my mind when I think of stadiums that have a proper test watching culture, test viewing culture. Like the experience that fans and players themselves have, having been to both tests that have happened in Bangalore in the last 5 years. Even the India Sri Lanka test that happened last year was a fantastic game. I mean, the game itself wasn't that great, but the audience, the support, the vibe,
Yeah.
and this doesn't happen everywhere. I understand, again, we understand what BCCI is trying to do. As noble the intentions are, they're not really in the right direction, right? It doesn't help that Vishakhapatnam gets a game. If I'm not wrong, they get the opener or they get the second game for that. If I'm not wrong, one of the first two
ऑर्डर
tests.
ऑर्डर मैटर नहीं कर रहा है
Exactly.
यहाँ, बट आई मीन
हाँ.
5 में से 2 टेस्ट तुमने वहीं डाल दिए, तो फिर बचा क्या?
Exactly. So it's just, yeah, Shaunak. So I stand corrected. Of course, we'll add Kolkata as well to that. People might say Delhi as well, but I'm not sure of Delhi so far because Gurkirat Paji to just absolutely despises every piece of whatever's there in Firosha Kotla or Arun
No, I
Jaitley
mean,
as it's called right now.
North of India, I'm absolutely okay with Dharamshala being the test venue. That's absolutely fine because it comes with its own beauty, which both Delhi and Mohali to a certain extent are bereft of. Mohali mein there is connectivity issues, which is something similar with the stadium in Pune. There is one good stadium which all of us have almost forgotten about, is Raipur, in terms of
I was
facilities,
going
in
to
terms
mention
of
that.
infra. It's probably the best venue in the country, but nowhere to be seen. No good games given to it at all. But yeah, it is what it is.
नो गुड गेम्स क्या नो गेम गुड तो
Yeah,
बाद में आएगा पहले
good तो
गेम
बाद
दे
में
दो
आएगा.
आप
हाँ,
वही रोड ट्रैफिक वो क्या रोड सेफ्टी सीरीज खिला के
road
वो
safety
खुश हो रहे
series
हैं वहां
होता
पे
रहता है. हाँ.
बस
Yeah, I think Nikhil is
एनीवेज
back on. We can add him. We can
या
also
we'll
switch our discussion to the game in the afternoon.
sure. And
Sri
before
Lanka,
that, just a slight update, yeah, on the Kabaddi game that's going on. 28 apiece, less than 2 minutes to go. It's going very close. It's going right down to the wire as we've expected, as we've come to expect of Kabaddi in general. So yeah, really hope that we seal the goal there and extract revenge from Iran who knocked us out in the semis last time. And yeah, that'll be very interesting to see. But yeah, second game Sri Lanka, South Africa. The game's happening where this one's in Dharamshala. That game I'll have to actually
Delhi.
confirm. All
Delhi,
right,
Delhi.
that's in Delhi. So yeah, what do you make of it? Delhi will assist spin. Sri Lanka have got a couple of good spinners. South Africa are coming into the series with a 3-2 win against Australia. The warm-up games also. I remember the game against New Zealand. Who else did they play in the warm-up games?
बांग्लादेश श्रीलंका
did-
प्लेड बांग्लादेश ना
No, South Africa. South Africa played New Zealand.
एक तो वॉश आउट हो गया फर्स्ट गेम वाज वॉश
Correct.
आउट अफगान हाँ
Yeah.
फर्स्ट गेम वाज वॉश आउट
True. So yeah, what do you think, South Africa, Sri Lanka? I know we've already run the preview, but since there's not a lot that we can talk about right now, given that the match is also not happening, and Kabaddi के बारे में थोड़ा जितना हो सकता है अपडेट देते रहेंगे, but cricket.com है तो थोड़ा cricket पे ही focus करने की कोशिश करेंगे अभी. So yeah, Nikhil bhai, you can start. I know you've already spoken, but Sri Lanka,
No,
South
I think
Africa, in Delhi,
the one
yeah.
good or the weird update is both teams have only one spinner. So they feel that the deck is not slow. So very keen to see how that works out. Tikshina तो मैं नहीं खेलने वाला था, which we knew, but Inter Shamsi is not playing, so that is a enough giveaway for people के spin नहीं, they don't expect spin to be to play a part there. If you're saying something, you are on mute, so we can't hear you. Acha, okay, he's giving communication address to somebody else, which is fine.
Yeah, hopefully these guys get a room soon. मतलब मैं ना कटलरी की आवाज सुन के ना मेरा डोसा खाने का मन कर गया है कि मैं ये वॉच अलोंग से फ्री हूँ और जाके मैं भी ये कुछ करूँ लाइफ में.
अरे आप आओ अहमदाबाद. I mean, just guys, stay tuned tonight, 8 o'clock. We have something special coming out, new property. It's still a bit under the wraps, so I just want to keep it that way. But it's something that we're trying, something different. Our editor's done a fantastic job. So yeah, just wait for it. And yeah, I really hope all of you like it just as much as we have. And so much guys, अब अगली बार अहमदाबाद आओगे तो जाएंगे भाई. काफी सारे अच्छे options है. डोसा आपने बोला, अहमदाबाद में भी हमने
अहमदाबाद आके डोसा क्यों खाऊंगा मैं?
अरे
अभी तो मैं बैंगलोर में जाके खाया हूँ.
अहमदाबाद में हमारे प्रोड्यूसर साहब.
After I think this is the first time I remember that I agree with Sushant. Sushant and I are on the same page. Even I am expecting Sri Lanka to upset South Africa today. Meanwhile, I think Nikhil was making some interesting points there. Shamsi not playing.
Yeah,
Nikhil,
sorry.
No, so it's interesting to see Kodze, Lungi, Rabada playing as a unit, because then Makram makes this the sixth bowling option. And we've talked about the power play woos as well. So they are going to bowl second, due भी होगा. तो again, Paji did say कि दिल्ली में अभी के टाइम पे इतना due नहीं होना चाहिए. So maybe we'll have venue updates from him later in the day. But keen to see how South Africa bat, because I think South Africa batting first suits them as well. Given batting is their strength. So keen to see कि भाई, are they able to get that 300 mark? Yeah, do we see something else? So pitch report तो आया नहीं. So that is the only thing that we can rely on at this point of time.
By the way, India are just a point away from the first ever gold medal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
In Asian Games.
Let's hope that happens, and let's hope Kabaddi maybe. Yeah, it's sort of getting really close right now. Timeout liya, ab tak shuru hua nahi, at least last. Oh, Iran's taken the lead now. That's a point for them. Unfortunately, Pavan Sehrawat has been dashed out. So yeah, that's a point to Iran, and Iran's right now 29 to India's 28. So Sanjay asks me which team is play bold Akshay backing. एक तो play bold अक्षय तो कुछ ज्यादा हो गया. My bad, play bold guy backing, but yeah.
Actually ये वो वाला बोल्ड नहीं है भाई. अक्षय के साथ BOW LED वाला बोल्ड डालो.
चलो कोई नहीं, चलेगा. अपने को बॉलर है अपन, तो हम सोचेंगे कि हम ही बोल्ड कर रहे हैं और क्या. But yeah, South Africa, Sri Lanka, given the venue, I am tempted to go towards to sort of lean towards Sri Lanka. Velalge has been in good form. Tikshana coming in. It'll be very interesting though. I'll just wait for the toss before I make any predictions.
Tikshana नहीं खेल रहा भाई. And there it is. Gold medal in badminton. First time.
Shabash, Shahid bhai. Well done.
Nice.
Satvik bhai. Shahid bhai बोल रहे हैं.
But
Top stuff.
yeah,
Top stuff.
Awesome.
coming back
Deservingly,
to
they'll
Sri Lanka,
become world number one.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
And
That's true.
just for context, the field in Asian Games is as difficult as they come, because apart from at least when it comes to doubles में तो it's actually as difficult as it comes, because singles में तो चलो डेनमार्क नहीं खेलती है तो विक्टर भाई नहीं होते हैं, but doubles में this is as good as it gets, and India winning gold is just next level.
Yep. And just to come back to that Sri Lanka South Africa picture, I just want for the toss to happen. Let's see, because
Toss हो गया भाई. Sri Lanka is fielding first.
तो
There are 6 minutes to go for the game to start. 6 मिनट पहले थोड़ी toss होगा.
भाई बैडमिंटन, कबड्डी, एशियन गेम्स, वर्ल्ड कप कितना कराओगे भाई.
And they are dancing in the court, not dancing in the aisles. Those two are dancing on the court.
Meanwhile,
itself. So good to see.
Yeah, Kabaddi mein Sanjay says no, India has been given 3 points and Iran is given 1 point, and Iran is contesting that decision. Pavan used the clever loophole bola. I'm pretty sure I know what he's talking about. He's probably walked into the yellow area without getting a touch, and defenders have also sort of entered the lobby without a touch. So that's why, because Bangalore Bulls was at the receiving end of one such decision a couple of years ago. I'm guessing that's the play. And ठीक है, Babar says genuinely Pawan should not have done that, but that's smart play. हाँ पता, I mean, yeah, it's all right. It is what it is. Finals है, सबको gold भी चाहिए. क्या करें? जैसे निखिल भाई ने कहा ना अभी, या तो मैच अच्छा होगा या फिर अपने को गोल्ड मिलेगा. And I would prefer the latter over the former for sure. But any update in Hangzhou, guys? What's happening there?
नहीं यार, काश अपन एक बैंगलोर, चेन्नई और बॉम्बे है कि एक
हाँ,
अंकल उधर वहां पे भी होता तो सॉर्ट हो जाता.
correct.
बट
From
अब
but yeah,
तक
from
तो
what,
इट्स रेनिंग ओनली. नो
yeah,
मच
from what we
if it's
understand, the rains picked up.
Yeah, if it's rained out, then India will get the gold. I think on rankings
Yes.
or no.
Yeah, by virtue of having a higher seeding, yeah, India will end up with the gold medal. Because Shukla, of course, our producer, Satvik Chirag's gold. Yes, because all of us are really happy. Unfortunately, I cannot react just as loudly as I would have liked to. सामने यहाँ पे 20 लोग बैठे जो मुझे घूर रहे कि भाई ये कौन है
यस
बंदा.
यस यस ऐसा करता है.
नहीं कर सकते यहाँ पे बस ये करके खुश रह रहे.
Fair
But
enough,
yeah,
fair enough.
South Africa, Sri Lanka. So what are the sides looking like? Any changes?
No, as I said, Coetzee is playing. Expected him to play, and okay, we have a pitch report. It says there's more grass than usual. 230 will be scored. Seamers will find assistant. As random as the pitch report can be, in terms of both teams are playing one spinner less, but they're expecting assistance to pacers, which is good. So you can expect anything can happen in this game. There is no
So,
assurity of
so
क्या
South
होगा
Africa are playing
exactly.
three pacers,
Three
Coetzee,
pacers.
Ngidi, and Rabada.
Both teams are playing more pacers than spinners, but they have backup options in Markram to bowl that. But
True.
again, I think double header match has given us an insight how vague it is going to be, just like this watch along that it has been. We've covered everything under the umbrella of sports.
कुछ भी आप बोलिए, स्टेडियम के बारे में बात करना है हम करेंगे. आप बोलिए एशियन गेम्स के बारे में बात करना है हम करेंगे. वर्ल्ड कप के दूसरे मैच के बारे में बात करना है हम करेंगे. तो वसंत नारायण he says hi down under. अबे यार अब भी it just hit me कि he's referring to me. मैं सोचा कि ये क्या ऑस्ट्रेलिया में रहता है कि क्या सीन है. Is losing Gill a big setback, and India trying Ishan in the West Indies series is going to help them now. What's your take on it? Nikhil bhai, you can probably start with that. What do you make of it? Ishan probably will replace him at the top.
And again, this is something that you're prepared for. I mean, so I don't think there is as big a loss because you were always knowing that Ishan will be your backup opener. I'm just hoping it's not more than 2 games is what I felt read कि शायद 2 गेम के लिए बाहर होंगे. तो वो होगा तो शायद then you'll want to see how Kishan goes in those 2 games, because then the questions will again come what if he works. Now how do you drop Kishan after he scored runs? So I think in that order the priority should not change basis 1 or 2 games. But let's see what Kishan does first and then maybe comment on that later.
Somesh bhai, what do you think? Gill not playing. I mean, again, there's no official confirmation yet. Dravid did say yesterday that he seems to be recovering fairly well and he might potentially play the game tomorrow. But in case, on the off chance, that he doesn't make it to the 11 and Nishan replaces him at the top, is that fine? Would you be fine with it?
This is a. I mean, it won't be a good way of putting it, but it's a positive sign that it has happened early in the tournament and not later. This is basically 2019 in reverse. Australia was the game where India lost Shikhar Dhawan and were unable to fill that gap. And here, Australia would be the game where they know that this is the only game probably that Gill will miss. While Vishal Kishan is absolutely ready to take whatever spot is up for grabs. So, I think it's fine. We can just feel कि भाई lucky है कि अभी हो रहा है. It's not happening at a crucial juncture. This will only make Gill hungrier, I'm assuming.
Possible.
So all in all, I'm not really concerned.
Fair call.
All right. India play Australia tomorrow in their first game of the World Cup. A lot of people really excited. In fact, we just flew into Chennai today and we saw a lot of Aussie fans in the flight as well. A couple of them even sort of going on to chant Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi in the flight. So yeah, looking forward to a lot of banter, a lot of voice of support for both sides. So that'll be very interesting to see. Chuchan says in Kutti stories, Bogle referred to the 2007 ODI World Cup as India lost to India. Do you think that's arrogance? And he should give oppositions more credit. So Mesh bhai, you can start with this. What do you make?
यार ये तो बहुत बार होता है. सी these guys, ये ना वो these are non quantifiable things जो हम we should leave it to everyone's opinion. What he said is understandable to an extent too, because pushing Tendulkar to the middle order did not ever work out for India. So that was one of the things, and of course the atmosphere in the team was not all that positive, but it was also due to the format of the World Cup, right? I mean, had it been a format like now or a format like what was there in 2003, maybe we would have seen India advance even after losing to Bangladesh. It was वो format ही ऐसा था कि you cannot afford to have an off day, and at the end of the day Bangladesh played well on that particular day. So I mean, no one saw it coming. It happened with Pakistan as well. उनके लिए तो सब कुछ ही hunky dory था. They had probably the greatest coach of their generation with the team. They had a decent set of players as well. A lot of them were in their prime, but just one off day and they were out, and it ultimately comes down to the format. So a little bit of arrogance तो कह सकते हैं, but yeah, I mean it's a mix of both. But pressure on an Indian team is nothing new. वो 2007 में नहीं, वो हर बार ही होता है. So we can't put it down to pressure. I mean अभी भी इस बार भी जो हो रहा है, people are saying that only it's the home pressure. We should not talk about it. We should not put pressure on the team. भाई Indian team पे pressure कब नहीं होता? And ultimately यार देखो, you can't play it both sides कि भाई home team हमको support करती है. It's like a 12th man. ठीक है, जब सपोर्ट कर रही है, जब अच्छा चल रहा है तो 12th मैन है, और जब तुम परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहे हो तो यही जो सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं वो प्रेशर हो जा रहा है. तो यू कैन नॉट जस्ट नो दोनों तरफ खेलना, तो इज नॉट राइट.
That's basically very similar to how commentators react to games. कि बॉल पे अगर छक्का मारता है तो व्हाट अ शॉट, अगर आउट होता है तो अरे यार ये
आवाज
क्या जरूरत थी नहीं, क्या जरूरत थी इस शॉट की? वाज इट नीडेड?
Yep.
Yeah, just had to get it out there. And Sanjay says, I think he meant Mahal when he meant India lost to India. Could be the case, but just to close that argument out, or rather that discussion out, I still feel that was the beauty of that round robin format. The fact that anyone could make it on their day, and it sort of opened up opened up the World Cup in such a way. I'm even today, I'd rather see a Netherlands beat an Indian side in the World Cup and go through, qualify, because thanks to a round robin form. Thanks to a proper group stage format.
Go back to the 2003 World Cup. India played Netherlands in the first game, and India did not pass that game with flying colors.
Yeah.
Early on, it was a
leader's father took a fofo.
Yeah.
True.
So होता है,
That's
मतलब,
true.
and cricket teams are they feel so entitled to sort of progress to the second round that at certain games they are not switched on. And वो format ही ऐसा था कि भाई you can't afford to not be switched on.
Exactly, and just to go back to the point you were making again, this basically goes on to show the kind of clout, the kind of influence that BCCI has on ICC. Like practically the only reason the World Cup is structured in this way is to ensure India plays as many games as possible against Pakistan. That's one, and India also qualifies to the knockouts. That's two. Like this is their best shot at ensuring India qualify. Like अगर probability की बात करें, this ensures India has the highest probability of qualifying. सीधी सी बात है. And this is the problem. This is the concern.
if you think about it, same format में भी अगर scheduling थोड़ी different होती, let's say if India played Sri Lanka first and would have lost, then automatically that Bangladesh game would have become a game कि भाई you can't lose this. If you lose this, you are out. Or if they would have played Namibia first, कि भाई जो भी थे, जो भी gray areas थे, या जो भी body ready नहीं थी, soreness थी, would have gone, and you are match ready for the two big games. तो कभी-कभी वो सब factors भी होते हैं. We can't discount that.
Fair. Chachan says in most World Cups, if you lose a game, you're out. It's only in cricket where we do round robin. Yeah, क्या करे अभी? जो है सो है. But we've also played. I mean, cricket World Cups have also been played in the round robin format earlier, right? The '92 World Cup was also round robin, if I'm not wrong.
भाई
क्या
क्रिकेट
करें?
क्रिकेट क्रिकेट वर्ल्ड कप को वर्ल्ड कप बुलाना एक गलती है ना. वही बात है कि इफ यू जस्ट हैव अ इफ यू जस्ट हैव अ फॉर्मेट वेयर यू नो कि भाई 10 टीम 9 टीम ही खेलेगी, तो इट्स नॉट अ वर्ल्ड कप. इट्स अ कॉमनवेल्थ कप.
Fair. Commonwealth Cup, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's mainly just English colonies playing if you look at it from a geopolitical lens.
Yeah.
But former English colonies, stand corrected before someone comes in the comments. Paris Arora asks us, can a third spinner really make a difference in Chennai, or is it something superficial? How was Shepok, which is in recent IPL? Nikhil bhai, you can take this up because again we discuss. Actually, you know what? Before you even take this up, we have to plug in the preview. Bhai, Niga preview, please jaake dekho. We've actually spoken about this exact thing
Yeah, and
that
not
it
just that.
won't
I
be
mean,
as
yeah, Anirudh's
बताइए.
article about the venue details, it is as comprehensive
True,
as they
true.
come.
Exactly. So it won't be as
Yeah,
straightforward as
maybe
Chennai is going to be
maybe
spin
Sonak,
friendly
it
or
would be a
something.
good time to post that link in comments. People can actually check out that piece where
True.
Anirudh, our statsman, has spoken, has actually not spoken, has analyzed all the venues uh,
Yeah.
together.
He's come up with a comprehensive venue guide that talks about all things numbers and more. So you just get to understand what sort of a surface you can expect in Chennai. So yeah, Nikhil bhai, like we mentioned or rather discussed in the mega preview, early on even in the IPL, the initial games were high scoring affairs. We saw a lot of runs scored. Spinners did get a bit of purchase, but just not as much as we sort of went on to see in the latter half of the season. Expect something similar in the World Cup as well, right? Despite it being played in a different time.
Yeah, ideally, that's what you'll hope. Okay, conditions remain true to the basic nature of the surface. Again, the surprise that we've seen with Dharamshala is also due to the change in square, which is why you see the ball holding up and system spin, which you didn't expect to happen uh, other which wise. So that is something that's there. And with Chennai, see that the slowness doesn't go away, and there is a black soil wicket if I'm not wrong. So it does crack up as well. So your and again, see the point about the third spinner is you can look at it in different ways. Just say if you take the WTC as an example, the venue wasn't a venue where you say okay, spin will work. But if you have a bowler who's able to keep things tight and giving you control, that aspect can also be used on any given surface. So with Chennai, you've seen in the past, Pacers have also done decently because and more so while defending a score because the surface slows down. So just having the spinner will not be enough. They can make a difference, but they'll have to bowl at the right pace. And I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but this entire World Cup, even in the two games so far, you've seen the different pace makes. Sandner was bowling at a different pace as compared to Rachit Ravindran. So you could see that difference there. Today, very keen to see the speeds at which Afghanistan spinners bowl as compared to the Bangladesh spinners. So you will see this happening in every game that you'll have to get the pace right to be able to make that impact. Otherwise, the other department can also chip in and give you enough runs. Just say, as Som said just a while back, that because you've had Ashwin coming in, he could potentially start in a few more venues as opposed to Shardul, and for the very reason of being able to adapt to that surface.
Fair that. And just coming back to the South Africa Sri Lanka game that started, and finally a game that I can watch on TV. South Africa batting first. Just one interesting sort of addition to the Sri Lankan lineup. Lahiru Kumara isn't playing. My man Dilshan Madhushanka is playing. What do you make of that? Because I remember you and even Gurkirat mentioning that probably Lahiru would
Oh,
start ahead, and that's not been the case. And yeah, I mean, you think it's the variety that he brings to the attack? Was that the primary reason, or do you see anything else in that? Nikhil bhai, again, you can start.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that we didn't have quotes coming through. वो एक बार if we are able to hear, then we'll also be able to see कि what do the captains expect. But I think polling at the end is something that they are thinking at in that aspect as well, as you rightly said. तो variety तो है यहाँ पे and very keen to see how it plays out right through. Because so far it does look like it's coming on, but there has been some uneven bounce in the last shot that you saw Quinton play, and even now Bahuma had to get on the top of it to get that gap right. So let's see how it eventually pans out.
Yeah, but
There,
Babuma having to get on top of the ball तो मतलब वो ठीक वो let उतना उस पे अभी गौर नहीं करते थोड़ा टाइम देते बस सोमेश भाई
That is
sorry you were
not
saying
right. That is not right.
just
Yes,
saying
Amish bhai.
yeah
there is absolutely no brevity of sports out there. India women are playing Japan women in for a bronze medal, and Japan women have equalized 1-1 going into the second quarter. तो वो भी इंटरेस्टिंग चल रहा है. साउथ अफ्रीका की इनिंग्स शुरू हो गई है. बांग्लादेश आर making a light work of Afghanistan so far. So a lot of things happening.
yeah and Kabaddi maybe 1 minute बचा but supposedly the game isn't finishing anytime soon I know that
Everyone
we
सब
went out
सब एक दूसरे के साथ हाथ जोड़ रहे हैं. इंडियन
yes
ऑफिशियल्स वहां से कि सर ये पॉइंट हमें चाहिए, एंड देयर लाइक कि नहीं सर हम नहीं दे सकते.
oh man ridiculous ooh is that a wicket now yes that's a wicket my man Madhu Shankar right amongst the wickets really like again
Wasn't it going down? I felt thoda.
I felt me मुझे भी वही लगा but I would have appealed for sure let's
Guys,
see
guys,
what's up.
guys in the comments, please let us know if the kabaddi game starts. Otherwise, we are switching to
Exactly
cricket.
yeah तब तक हम लोग बात
Can't
करते रहेंगे क्रिकेट के
can't
बारे में
wait forever.
तो बेसिकली जिस मैच के बारे में हमें वॉच अलोंग करनी थी वो तो कब का भूल गए उसको छोड़ दिया कहीं पे उसके बाद बैडमिंटन कबड्डी वर्ल्ड कप का सेकंड गेम सब But yeah, again, just to update you guys, Hangzhou में अभी भी बारिश है. There's still no update on it. I mean, no positive update on it. So yeah, let's hope we get to see some cricketing action. Or
See,
else again,
I think it's
India
out.
is
Is this pitching का question है?
pitching ही
Yeah.
देखना पड़ेगा. But again, excellent ball, and this is something we discussed earlier as well with Madhu Shankar. He has the ability to get the ball to skid and also raise, rise. Sorry, not raise. So that's the kind of that's the kind of skill that he brings to the table, and that's what makes him so much more potent. For example, the ball that Bavuma played, when he had to jump, it really had that extra bounce. This one just skidded
Gone.
through. That's gone.
3 reds.
Hitting mid lane leg. So yeah, this goes on to show why is he so dangerous? I mean, why I think he could be very very dangerous, and why RCB should potentially look at him.
हाँ ये आया कैसे नहीं दिन में एक बार तो आना ही चाहिए.
आना तो
Hope
चाहिए ना भाई.
departs.
Yes. कल तो अवनी भाई मुझे कोई तो आरसीबी फैन पेज का ऐसा उन्होंने इमेज डाला रचन रविंद्रा इन द आरसीबी जर्सी लाइक ब्रो व्हाट डू यू थिंक आरसीबी में आना चाहिए एक सेंचुरी मार जाए और खत्म भाई.
Isn't it? That's a summary of RCB.
Yeah, हम देखो भाई like I don't think there's any player who's played international cricket who's not featured in my RCB lineup. अरे उसको ले सकता है, उसको भी ले सकता है, इसको भी try कर ही लेता है, इसको देखो.
Yeah.
But I'm
Some teams
hoping
actually
hope
make their teams
And
like
and
that, so it's okay.
and actually,
Yeah.
what 15-16 years have taught everyone is कि unless and until your Indian core is strong, you're not going to win the tournament. तो उस पर वो छोड़ो, तुम तो मार्की नेम देखो किसको ले सकते हैं.
And
अरे
that
इंडियन
is
टीम्स है
actually
अपने
ये
पास
वही
यार.
बोला था.
It happens every year. All the analysts who write the post IPL auction piece, भाई ये टीम बहुत strong लग रहा है इस बार, क्या players ले लिए इन्होंने. Doesn't work that way. If it has not worked that way for 16 years, it's not going to work in the 17th year.
True. I mean,
I think the only time I remember in the top of my mind where I see where uh, strong overseas players did the heavy lifting to make the team reach to a certain point was Punjab in 2014. But that is also when they needed Akshar Patel and Sehwag to contribute in important situations.
no, agreed. Indian core is definitely very important, and yeah, just एक चीज I do feel RCB have a decent Indian setup. अभी देखते हैं क्या होता है वहाँ पे. Chuchan says Rachin Ravindra is actually from Bangalore. He'll be their local lad. Yeah, boy, he is from Jayanagar. पता है हमें.
We
But
discussed it. Actually, this is
is it my internet or is it Somesh Bhai's internet? I'm hoping it's his. Yes. I'm sorry, Somesh, your video is
Bangalore.
breaking and so is your audio. But yeah, I was just saying that we don't know that he is from Jayanagar in Bangalore, and that's great to see. Great to see him come good. But Nikhil bhai, did you actually expect him to come this good? Like, इससे पहले जो भी देखा था, he did seem like a promising youngster. But did you expect him to come up with this sort of a knock in the World Cup opener?
See, I think after the warm-up, we felt it is possible. क्योंकि the warm-up fixture also he batted with that freedom and showed that intent. Okay, let's get going and not worry too much about it, which is fine. Which is how you want that opener to work. Which is why they've had Finn Allen up top, wanting to do that reason. Martin Guptill up top, wanting to do the same thing, take the attack to the opposition. So I think in that sense, very glad to see him come good. And see, the best bit about it was they did not look like they were taking a lot of risk. And that to me is the biggest positive, that most of it was hitting the gaps. And I think that leaves everybody in a very good space that you didn't have to manufacture something. It was there, you were able to exploit it, and you made the most of it and batted at a very good rate. So I think that really just bodes very well for the side as well going forward.
True that, and meanwhile, that's a fantastic cover drive from Quinton de Kock, and to get his first boundary for the day. 22 for 1 again. South Africa, unfortunately, the Asian Games cricket finals or men's cricket finals has been delayed due to rain. And Bangladesh, Afghanistan, maybe Bangladesh is sort of campering towards a victory. Yes, Somesh bhai, if you could. Yeah, there still seems to be some issues with the internet, or is it
No,
fine
अभी
now?
better है, अभी better है.
All right. Okay. Sorry, Somesh bhai, you were saying something there.
नहीं, अब तो याद भी नहीं है मैं क्या बोल रहा था.
वो रचन रविंद्रा जयनगर आप कह रहे थे,
अरे
सही
हम
बात
डिस्कस
है.
कर रहे थे कि एक्चुअली दिस कैन बी अ वेरी गुड ब्रांडिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर आरसीबी कि भाई बैंगलोर लैड रिटर्न्स समथिंग
Local
लाइक दैट,
boy.
मेक हिम द फेस एंड ऑल दैट, बट वैसा होगा नहीं. मतलब आरसीबी एंड चेन्नई आर टू टीम्स हु हैव अ फेस फॉरएवर नाउ. At least for
Yeah.
the next 50 years, the face is not
Mumbai
gonna
भी.
change. I don't think Mumbai Indians have a face.
I feel रोहित शर्मा ही रहेगा यार, for the foreseeable future at least.
But I think in terms of branding the teams that way, it's like how it's of course CSK first, RCB second, and then there is a mile gap, and then there is Mumbai. I think CSK and RCB two teams are more sort of driven to their respective faces.
Fair. That's a fair point. IPL की भी बात कर लिए, and yes, Kabaddi का still there's no update. Unfortunately, the game hasn't begun yet. But yeah, let's just take Chachan's comment. He asks, just imagine Rachin Ravindra lifting the World Cup before KL Rahul. Rachin will be everywhere in Bangalore's poster. Oh wow. What do you make of that?
Move
नहीं
on.
होगा. Oh, the confident New Zealand नहीं जीत रही इस बार.
राहुल के पहले नहीं जीत रहे, ऐसे बोल रहा हूँ.
Oh, हाँ तो मतलब इस बार तो नहीं जीत सकते ना फिर. केएल कोई. चलो देखते हैं.
देखो.
So, सोमेश भाई, meanwhile, इंटरनेट अभी भी आपका थोड़ा साथ नहीं दे रहा है. Looks like the internet is also trying to convince सोमेश भाई कि आप जाके मसाला डोसा खा के आ जाओ. हम हैं यहाँ पे.
अरे guys,
But Sanjay says trust RCB with content. Of course, बोल दिया था ना इस बार. तो इस बार ओनर्स ने सामने से बोल दिया कि हाँ हम तो कंटेंट गेम जीतना है. चलो. हमारे
honesty के लिए
producers
marks, extra marks for honesty.
लेके क्या करें सब. फेयर प्ले अवार्ड, ऑनेस्टी. थोड़ा फेयर प्ले अवार्ड भी नहीं जीते वो अलग बात है.
ठीक है. Fair play, I don't think it's a something that I want to talk about. ठीक है.
Okay. So yeah, guys, just keep putting in your comments, sending in your comments. We'll just take a few questions till we have some action resume somewhere. Either Hangzhou, I mean in Hangzhou, that is either the men's cricket finals or at least the Kabaddi finals. कुछ तो हो. दोनों तरफ, unfortunately, there seems to be a delay. And
Yeah. And at this end, they
because
said Mehndi Hasan Miraz at 3 for.
yeah,
It is weird. I mean, ठीक है. I mean, they're just wanting to make the most of his batting potential. But ठीक है. I mean, I thought
but जब
you had
again when
Shanto,
Shanto's in
Shakib, Rain.
yeah. No, but when
ठीक है. I
Shanto is
don't.
in such good form, right up the top, why would you want to do that? What do you think? Do you think they're looking at Mehdi Hassan as a future number 3? Are they looking to groom him? And do you think is the World Cup the right place to do that?
I'm not really sure what the plan is there because maybe the plan is to just have him hold an end up, and if he can keep scoring, then nothing like it. Uh, feels probably defensive because you then have Shanto at 4, Shakib 5, Mushfiq 6, Tawhid 7, Mahmudullah 8. I don't know whether it is worth it But again, as long as it's working for them, I have no problem. Because
Fair.
there's nothing much to write otherwise. कि भाई, it's just there. They're just making the most of it. Okay.
Fair. Let's see if Somesh Bhai is available. Let's just see. Yep, much better now. Rahul Bhai, wow. Seems like a new name. Hey Rahul, just make sure you've also hit the like button and subscribe to us if you haven't already. How much will South Africa score is what he says. What do you make of the surface so far? Let's start with that and then probably build to how much South Africa could potentially, end up with. Somesh Bhai, you can start. What do you make of the surface, like of what little you've seen so far?
See, South Africa, good question. But I think they should be able to score. I'm expecting a flurry of wickets as well. I'll go with 273. I mean, they would try to score 330, but end up with 273.
It's not too bad. Nikhil Bhai, what do you think? Given how the surface is played so far, especially.
See, I feel Quinton has started very, very well. Rasi had one good clip and one inside edge. Again, Thikshina nahi hai, so Sri Lanka has to keep taking wickets. So I think score could be around the similar range, 310, if they don't lose Miller and Klassen early. If they lose, so could be even below that. Matlab around 260, 270, if, depending on how deep one of the top four bats.
And do you expect the surface to sort of ease out and become even better under the lights to play?
Yeah, you'll assume so, at least. Ke it should happen. We've seen that in the past with Delhi. But it also slows down at times. So, wo risk. I think her venue will have to wait for a couple of games to be very sure ke how it will pan out eventually.
True, that's true. Sanjay, meanwhile, makes a good point. He says you can't be messing your batting order to fit one person and maximizing his batting returns. So, Sumesh bhai, just to set some context, we were talking about how
No,
Mehdi
no,
Hassan has been.
I heard
Huh.
you. Yeah, I heard you.
Oh, great. So, what do you make of this? Because ODI format, where you still have time. I understand. I would have completely agreed with him if this was T20Is or the T20 format. But in ODIs, you have time. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक बंदे को ऊपर डालने से बाकी लोगों को enough they won't get to play enough deliveries or won't get enough time. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा. So do you think there's still any merit in it, or even you agree with what Sanjay has to say?
I think it will make sense if they're trying to turn Hridoy into someone who can provide the impetus at the very end, and if he has bought into that philosophy, because right now Bangladesh's issue is not really the batting depth, so to speak, because अगर मेहदी नीचे भी खेलेगा तो he's a batter, but the point is, do they have firepower in their batting lineup? And I'm not sure कि मेहदी को promote करने से वो issue solve हो रहा है क्या, unless and until like I said कि Hridoy is going to take up that mantle कि भाई I will be that aggressor in the last 10 overs, something that Bangladesh badly needs.
Do you agree with that, Nikhil bhai, in terms of the firepower that or the lack of it rather, in the Bangladeshi Bangla batting lineup?
Yeah, see, Bangladesh cricket works very, very differently at times. You can never make sense of, okay, this is the exact reason why they are doing this. So, in that regards, I don't know, because see, they've also gotten Mahmudullah back. Now, he's the guy who's designated batter in that role forever. So, is World Cup your time where you're saying, okay, let's groom this guy here and let's groom Mehdi Hassan here? So, as you said, maybe World Cup is a very tricky time to get into that kind of mold. Okay, let's try and build this, because against other opponents, I don't think having Mahmudullah at 8 will work. You can have more bowling options. You can have Mahmudullah bowl. You can have Mehdi Hassan bowl as well. But it's probably sticking to just one strategy too much. But again, maybe it's just one game. तो देखना पड़ेगा क्या try कर रहे with this. At this point of time, I think because they've had issues up top, they just feel कि Mehdi is more fall safe as an option. कि ये तो out नहीं होगा. So probably it is not about maximizing returns, but maybe just saving your cream for the middle overs.
Fair. Ramesh Yadav, he's talking about Kabaddi. He says very poor management from the official to overturn the decision they first made, and very poor from Team India going on. to not accept it. And yeah, the competition has been suspended as things stand rather. And when it comes to the Asian Games cricket finals, 2:48 p.m. IST is the latest by which we can have at least a 5 over game, beyond which the game will be abandoned due to rain, and India will, if I'm not wrong, be given the gold medal because of by virtue of their higher seeding. All right, let's take Sanjay's comment again. He says, "Do you think BCCI could have given free tickets for non-India matches to school kids? At least they would have filled the stadium." I mean, there were a lot of rumors and chatter. There was a lot of chatter as well um, going on in social media about how a lot of people were given tickets and asked to go for the game and all of that. What do you make of it, Somesh bhai? Again, let's start with you. Do you think this could have been a possibility?
Who, me? I mean, like now this has become a question that we have been answering every day. It, it's if you're organizers and you have uh, delegated ticketing responsibility to some other partner, you can always have that data ke how much of the stadium is filled, how many of the tickets are being sold till 2-3 days before the game, and you can always find contingency plan to ensure that at least the stadium is full, because empty seats are not helping anyone, right? It doesn't make a very good spectacle, nor, I mean, you're just keeping people devoid of a possibility of an experience of a lifetime. So could have been done, but the point is, Abhi, we can talk all we want about this, but at the end right now, I mean, does anyone even care? Do they even, are they even thinking about this? Because everyone is like, oh, abhi to India Australia hai, India Pakistan hai, ye sab matches to hote rahenge side mein, who cares? It's that situation. I mean, even in a tournament which is a World Cup for the sake of it, usme bhi it has become only India centric. Ki bhai, what are the India games and what is the plan regarding that?
Fair, Nikhil bhai. आपका भी ले ही लेते हैं because the reason again why we're waiting is 2:48 p.m. again, just to remind you guys, 2:48 p.m. IST is the last possible sort of time for a 5 over for at least a 5 over game between the two sides. We're talking about the India Afghanistan men's cricket Asian Games final, and post which India will be awarded the gold medal by virtue of the higher seeding. So yeah, sorry Nikhil bhai.
No, I think some points Somesh Bhan, and we have also discussed this at length in every other aspect. They haven't even made an effort to hide it. To be very honest, it's been very open in the air. कि जो है यही है. That's all we care about. I don't know who's giving those advices about optics, because sometimes, see, many teams, many countries, many tournaments happen with certain things in mind, but you sometimes find a way to show it in a different way or show it in a better way. That at least मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आप छुपाओ अच्छे से, but there are so many things that you can do to just even this make it work and look so good on your part के wow कितना सही arrangement किया है. But something that if it's not happening even on that accounts, then as Som said, nobody cares. जो जैसा चल रहा है चलने दो. All we care is we should get enough amounts from the India games, and that's what eventually matters to us.
Well, nobody might care about world cricket, but Avnish and I, we do care about Somesh bhai going for the India Pakistan game. थोड़ा इसके बारे में भी सुनते हैं. Plans? What are your plans, Somesh bhai? Ahmedabad आ रहे हो? Are we meeting firstly?
Yeah, I think we should be catching up on Friday, the day before the game. I think you guys will be there anywhere. When are you guys
Yeah.
reaching?
So we reach on the 13th. Are you looking forward to the India Pakistan game though? Especially now that you know how the venue is and all of that.
Yeah, I would have been. Of course, Naseem Shah not being there is sort of a bummer. Uh, had he been there, this would have been a lot more, close contest than what it will be right now. But you never know, yeah. I mean, uh, I think Shaheen Afridi's first spell is what it's going to be about. If he can, eke out a couple of wickets up front, that's it. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult for Pakistan to sort of stop Indian batters to get to a total which might actually be beyond Pakistan.
Interesting. And what plans after that? Ahmedabad घूमने का plan है कि नहीं?
यार देखो अब क्या होता है, सच कुछ nothing set in stone. I'm a very on the go sort of a guy. Let's see what happens.
Fair.
I
Nikhil bhai,
mean,
I
not
guess
al-
he's
I'm not always on the go type of a guy, but here I am because I'm a ये World Cup का content plan ये सब बना के I've made so many plans recently that I don't have mental bandwidth to actually plan things around that game.
fair. No, we understand that, but I guess Nikhil bhai is the resident Ahmedabad expert, at least amongst the three of us here. Would that be fair to say? और अरे निखिल भाई क्यों अहमदाबाद हमसे ज्यादा तो गए ही होगे.
हाँ, but then I went at very very different times and never for a game अब तक तो
तो गेम के बारे में
maybe
पूछ ही नहीं रहे, अहमदाबाद शहर के बारे में पूछ रहे थे.
so I have only gone at resorts and otherwise away from the city. So very
Oh,
less. And जो भी है, see Manik Chowk is very obvious. So if you
गए
get
गए.
there, you have to. बस तो that is the
क्या
first thing
हुआ है
that you
क्या?
have to do.
How is that?
घुघरा sandwich. It's two
There are
slices
many
of bread.
things. Uh,
Yeah, and a block of cheese. So again, everything I love. So I'm happy there. But what actually really got to me was the fact that हम एक जगह गए जहाँ पे they sold a सब्जी called cheese butter masala. मतलब सब्जी नहीं है, चीज है. Cheese butter masala. And I was like, ये क्या है? मुझे देखना है. So basically it's पनीर बटर मसाला जहाँ ग्रेवी में भी चीज है और पनीर के बदले चीज क्यूब्स.
Oh my
The
God.
cheese.
this
It
is
was so.
बहुत सारा
Cholesterol
चीज
bomb.
in this cheese.
We were just shocked. Like ये क्या है?
They can
इतना
rather
चीज.
call it cholesterol masala.
हार्ट अटैक मसाला कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. बाईपास सर्जरी मसाला. No, but yeah. Anyways, like I said earlier, guys,
Okay,
8
I
o'clock.
think we have a question for Nikhil. Rahul bhai, Rahul bhai,
पूछ रहे हैं yes.
who will score the most runs in today's game? Sri Lanka versus South Africa. बताओ Nikhil.
क्या पता है
What do you feel?
सर लग तो रहा है Quinton should be able to do it. But then you have good options with Nissan as well in the second innings. तो could also be Kushal Mendis. तो one of the top three अगर conditions अच्छे हैं तो नहीं है तो again it's been a very random day with so many games happening. Some of the tactics in some of the promotions are also beyond you. तो let's see. अब तक तो ये लग रहा है top order should do the job.
I think
Alright.
I think it'll be Nisanka. Oh no, Asalanka. Sorry.
Yeah, possible.
No, I'll actually go for my man पांडे दूषण. बहुत बोला है मेगा प्रीव्यू में कि इससे काफी सारी उम्मीदें हैं. Let us see क्या होता है उनके साथ. Surface seems to be so. I mean, so far so good. He's also a
यार
good player of spin.
जिसका कोई नहीं होता है उसका अब तक शुभ होता था, बट अब से तू होने लग गया है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है.
मैं अपन है. शुभ भाई के साथ भी अपन ही है. Tension नहीं. But let's just take Chachan's comment. He asked us if Afghanistan wins against Bangladesh, will that be called an upset? And I mean, by the looks of it, it's highly unlikely they will be beating them. But फिर भी.
No, they won a game. They've shown you in recent times only that they could have even beaten Pakistan. So again, maybe on paper, people who haven't watched them enough will definitely call it an upset. But if you've seen enough, you will not feel it's an upset.
True, especially for those who have forgotten. Do just check the Afghanistan Sri Lanka encounter that happened in the Asia Cup. The fact that they came that close to chasing 290 down in 37, 38 odd overs.
And
So
they have a
that
catch drop. Fazal
Alright,
Faruqi,
okay.
maybe Hassan hits one to Najibullah who drops a sitter.
I think I see to answer Chuchan's comment. I feel Bangladesh cricket has still not reached a level where if any team beats them, you can call it an upset.
So Netherlands अगर defeat करती है तो you would still
And
say it's not an upset.
I wouldn't. I mean, a few might. I won't.
All right. Let's take Sanjay's comment. He asks us, who are you most excited to watch amongst non-India players? And he also goes on to say that he's looking forward to seeing Klaasen. Who isn't? I mean, Klaasen, the kind of form he's been and the way he's been demolishing spin for fun, across formats. It's just been great entertainment. So, Umesh bhai, let's start with you. Non-Indian player that you're looking forward to watching this World Cup.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the names that I already mentioned as my player to watch was Devon Conway. This was ahead of the tournament, not after watching the last game. So let's see वो कहाँ तक पहुँचता है. Hopefully he carries his form. Klaasen is of course there. I feel Australia's chances of a top 4 qualification hinges on Mitchell Starc. if he doesn't deliver to the expected level, they might actually struggle to make it to the final four and beyond. So he's one. Who else is there?
Non-Indian
Similarly, England, Adil Rashid. If Adil Rashid has an average tournament, then I mean, I think Adil Rashid for England is even more crucial than Mitchell Stark for Australia. If Adil Rashid has an average or below average
Interesting.
World Cup, then I don't see England qualifying.
All
So
right,
yeah,
Nikhil bhai, any
that's
names?
there. और कौन है? और कोई तो है नहीं यार.
I'm looking forward to seeing Madhushanka. Already एक wicket भी ले लिया. Something I'd mentioned pre-tournament as well. Nikhil bhai, what about you? Any names? Any interesting names? Offbeat names?
Last, how can I forget Asalanka भाई? मतलब fanboy.
नहीं, आई थिंक काफी अच्छे नाम तो ले लिए हैं. जो नहीं लिए मैं उनके नाम ले लेता हूँ एक एक करके. आई थिंक माकरम इज समवन दैट आई फील should do well. Conditions are such, and his role is such that he has to be the guy who has to be the filler between the two departments for South Africa. Uh, Along with him, uh, personally, I hope KL is able to do very, 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 very well, because a lot has been talking about KL due to his performances in other formats. So I'm hoping he's able to clear that air for himself. With respect to other people to look out for, Omarzai is someone did decently with the bat today so far. अब ball से आएंगे तो देखते हैं क्या करते हैं. So that's three along with the names that you guys added so far. And of course, Short Sakil yesterday did the job. So so far so good.
So far, so good. And meanwhile, we have some official update from the Asian Games. The match has been called off. Thanks for giving us also some respite, apart from all the fans and everyone who are trying to follow the game and trying to hope for a proper 40 over action. Unfortunately, that won't be the case. Weather ended up being the winner, and India again, like we said earlier, by virtue of having a higher seeding, have been awarded the gold medal. Afghanistan, nonetheless, have been awarded the silver medal, something no one really expected them to do. And yeah, so the Asian Games there, in terms of at least the cricket, has been that's pretty much the end to Asian Games from a cricket POV. Sorry, Kabaddi again. There's yet to be any official confirmation as to when the match will begin. It's still there still seems to be no clarity in terms of what they're doing with the decision, and because we're not being able to follow the game live, no update on that as well. And yeah, Somesh, Nikhil, do you guys have anything to say, or you're happy having discussed enough sports?
No, I'm saying at one hand we want, and I want cricket at the Olympics, and on the other hand, cricket is so dependent on elements कि भाई ये
Yeah.
सब factor के बिना तो कैसे होगा. मतलब basically it's actually it just tells us that if at all cricket has to be played at an Olympics and beyond, it's high time we start having indoor stadiums, because at the end of the day, I mean, this is not going to do anything to get the popularity of the sport going to a level where everyone wants it to go.
All right, let's hope that actually happens, and cricket actually features in the 28 Olympics, as a lot of people are hoping it would. But yeah, that's it from all of us today. And I was supposed to do probably just the first half an hour of 1 hour of the watch along from the cafe, and then move back to my room. Unfortunately, there's still no confirmation for me. Asian Games का तो पता लगे, अब तक मेरे room का कोई अता पता है नहीं. So we're still hoping we get a room soon. But yeah, guys, all of you looking forward to the India-Australia game tomorrow. Make sure you also tune into our previews and reviews. And for the guys who are actually in Chennai to watch the game, make sure you actually catch a glimpse of us. Say hi to the cameras. Do meet us. It'll be great to have a chat with you in person. That's it from all of us. And also one last plug, and before I forget, something new, something unique is coming today on our channel at 8 p.m. Make sure you also check that out. Do let us know in the comments there what it is, how it is, and what you make of it. Thank you so much, guys. Make sure you have hit the like button. Make sure you've also subscribed to our stream. And that's it from all of us. Goodbye.
Thank you for